far from here, focused on my own way, with never looking back to those who lived in fear. There was nothing I could do, there is nothing you said that could make me realize how much lucky I was. Just out of reach of this fire, was not aware of this nightmare, but when I stopped to see those eyes begging for help, begging for hope, just need to open my eyes now to try to change them to sunshine, to be someone among others. I've got to try to define.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, good evening, race fans, and welcome. I tell you what, we got a race tonight here that's, well, it's going to be unique. It's going to be different, but it's at a named in a historic style track, LeMans Speedway here at Circuit de LeMans. How's that? That is usually they do the 24-hour race here, but tonight it's only 2.4 hours for the major Sportsman series here live tonight. Well, I'm Joe White up here in the booth. I got one of the a new guy up here with me tonight, though. I appreciate him, old Brian Hollick. He normally races, but tonight, I'm going to kind of jump in the booth and get a different perspective. What's going on, Brian?
Hey, Joe. Thanks for inviting me up, and looking forward to it.
Well, I tell you, like you just said, it's going to be different. And these drivers out here, they're in for it. I mean, it's going to be a different type of show, different type of atmosphere. Tell us a little bit, you know, the Sportsman series this season has been up and down. Unfortunately, like you said, you didn't make the race tonight, man, and I just, you know, things happen, racing happens, etc., etc. But you do have some teammates out here. We got a lot of teams, a lot of things to talk about throughout the hours as these guys are getting wind down to get ready for racing. But, you know, tell us how, you know, the Sportsman series has been. I mean, a lot of people have been following it now. We've went through road racing to NASCAR racing to different style. We're back to road racing, but we got some dirt racing coming up soon. But what you thinking so far?
Yeah, I thought the first half of the schedule a little oval heavy. Some of us are looking forward to getting on the road, and some, frankly, are not. Of course, we do have dirt looming in the future, and that's going to be a wild ride as it is. But yeah, we just came off of the Indy 500. Before that, the Coke 600. So we had quite a bit of laps oval heavy in the first half. But Le Mans is a special track, and like I said, some people really looking forward to this race, and some people are just trying to make it to the end.
Well, absolutely. And, it's been awesome covering the Sportsman series. I've enjoyed it. Coming from the oval side of things, it has been kind of cool. I know a lot about it. I'm learning a lot about the road side. I do love road racing in general, and it's good to have one of the drivers up here to kind of give us an insight on, just what the cars are doing, because I like doing, kind of tech and the technological side of what these cars offer and what they have here on the track. And then plus, basically this track in a nutshell, I mean, it's a historical style track. Obviously it's known for its 24 hours, but they do have the 2.4 hour stuff, and tonight we've got 2.4 hours of it. It's not quite as long as 24 hours. Did you compete in the 24 hour? You did compete in the 24 hour, didn't you?
I have done a 24 before, and some of the drivers is a little unfortunate. We won't be seeing headlights on this one because we are starting early in the morning, and it'll be taking us to about noon. But broad daylight, so you don't get that kind of special feel. But it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely, and we've got a slew of cars to talk about here. LMP1s. Obviously, GT East, I think they're GT3s out here, aren't they? GT3s or GTEs?
It's a GTE for this one.
Okay. So we got the GTEs. Is it LMP1 or LMP2s?
Both of them.
Okay.
So the LMP1 is the Audi and the Porsche. And then we've got the HPD representing the LMP2, the second class.
Okay.
And then our GTE cars that we're familiar with in the third class.
What's unique was when I did the 24 hours, actually when I did the Daytona 2.4 hour one, I think it was a 2.5 hour one. Earlier in the season, y'all did not have the LMPs in there. It was just basically GTE style cars for the Sportsman series, that is.
Correct.
So definitely will be different. But as we grid these guys up here tonight, boy, I tell you what, man, that is a good looking field out there. That's going to string them out, and a lot of cars. Now, the biggest thing, like we always say, in road racing, it's very different. There's two different classes, so you'll see the different classes. Now, they're actually lining up together, and that's kind of unique. Normally, those classes are kind of they start different. But
they'll give each other 10 seconds. Yes,
they will?
They'll be giving each other 10 seconds. They're on the radio now, so just to do that. One thing I'm looking forward to watching is the top two. That's the LMP1 class. Daniel B. Johnson is on pole. Mark Stevenson is second. They are 1 and 2 in the points. Mark Stevenson is leading on the points, and Daniel B. Johnson is second in points. So two guys on the top of the leaderboard are top of the qualifying in the top class. It'll be very interesting. They're on your screen now.
It will, definitely will. And folks, if you keep up with it, all the guys there, you should be able to see them. Now, you won't see it on the broadcast side of things, but we see the differences in class-wise and what the difference in colors and all. But look at your cars out there, and obviously we'll keep you up to date on far as who's who, what's what, who's in what. But you can already see the top class, they're split up, like you just said, going to give them 10 seconds each time. And then you see the other class back there with it looks like a bunch of Audis, I think. Is that the Audi?
This is the HPD. These are all Hondas.
That's why I was thinking that was a little. I was unsure about the
It's
Audi.
a two-seater, but it's an empty second seat. So there's Rob. Rob's on the fourth team. Yep.
Yeah, Rob Deloach.
That's right.
Yeah, his name. Oh, Ernie out there. Got a little Ernie, boy, too well Ludwig. He's out there all the time, looking good. Second class out here. Another one. That one's my favorite class. GTE, GT3 cars. I really am fond of those cars more than anything. especially the BMWs out there. We see a few of them out there. We do see hosted, got the Porsches and the Ferraris. So we got a good slew. Actually, we got a Ford out there. That's the first time I've seen the Ford GT out there. But definitely got it out there too.
Yep, the Ford and Ferrari are both very popular.
Yeah, no doubt. This class here, I'm kind of fond of them. I really love GTE, GT3 style cars. I know a lot more about those machines than I would the other ones here. But it looks like we've got a couple drivers in the Hondas that are way back in the back. Did they have to drop to the end of the field?
Not sure.
That's,
Pace car's pulling in.
Rob, looks like Rob there, but yeah.
Pace car pulling in.
Pace car's in, so we're back. We're racing here up front for the front guys here, and Daniel B. Johnson there, and Mark Stevenson.
Oh, Mark takes it on the outside.
Yeah, he does. Run by those guys right now. Well, what do you do as a driver here, Brian? Do you pace yourself? I mean, you got a long way to go, or do you just go all out?
On this one, I think you got to pace yourself. Critical here at Le Mans are the track limits. You will see people, if they abuse the track limits, they will get slowdown penalties, and there are a couple parts of the track that you will see them kind of pull off to the side and let people pass them as they have to serve that penalty, the slowdown penalty. They want to try to get as few of those as possible, and that's the key to staying up front and keeping it clean for 2.4 hours.
There you go. Go back here to about 10th place spot on the grid. And that's going to take us back here to where JF and Andrew, a little bit battling going on between those guys. There's the Honda class that we were talking about before. They're kind of bunched up a little. Looking pretty good. We'll go back here to the GT3 style guys, or GTEs, excuse me. Looks like everybody in them back up kind of single file, just trying to pace themselves like you said. And the man out front with the Ford GT right now, that's Robert Covey?
Covey.
Covey? All right.
Yep.
Well, he is, and it looks like Rob Powers. Wrecking. Oh, Rob Powers here. Showed a replay of him. See what maybe happened. He showed on my screen here that he crashed. Go on replay and see. Oh, he overdrove the bus stop and just went straight through it. Easy to do.
Yep, and then he took the cut through the tires there.
Yeah. Safe way to get around. That's what we look at. Well, back up front, Daniel B. Johnson, he is the man out there. Mark Stevenson, looking good so far. Chris, I hope I say his last name. Yetito. That's right. And you know what? We worked on that last time, and I'm still working on a lot of these names. I'm glad you're up here helping me out on that stuff, too. He's running third, looking good.
He's a teammate. He's our setup guy, so he and Mark have been working on that setup all week, actually most of the month. So very excited to see how they work together. It looks like Daniel B. Johnson has gotten out to a 6 or 7 second lead. Mark took it early, but I think he went off the track during the Dunlop curves at the beginning, and now they're kind of settling in.
Yeah, we're back there with old Carl Burke and Ronald. Got a good battle going on between them. And you're right, you mentioned something right there, too, that a lot of drivers or a lot of folks don't know out there. This is an open-style setup, so these guys, they do work on their own setups out here. Through the different cars, different class, and like you just said, Chris, he's a setup man, so we'll have to see how good of a setup he's got. Right now he falls back to 5th, maybe by design, just kind of saving tires, kind of saving that car.
Yeah, Joshua Lane in Kinetic, he's strong, so it looks like he took over 4th position from Chris there.
Ron McPherson back here went off track. Let's go back here on the replay here and see what happened to him. He's in a Ferrari machine, one of the GTEs. Watching this replay right fast here. That's the biggest thing with the road type stuff. You're going to see guys may go in and off the track. Luckily, I got this little thing over here that tells me when they do, and we can go back. There is no cautions out here, folks, so if anybody wrecks, crashes, or hits something hard, we'll definitely let you know. Still watching this replay, see what happened. Looks like he just overdrove the turn and went right into the sand pin a little bit.
Yeah, Ron's been struggling. I think he qualified towards the back there, and I'm hoping that he can make it to the end. They do have one faster pair in the majors, and we got a couple hours ahead of us, so I hopefully he can just keep it clean.
Yeah, right now I'm back in about 44th, but his respective class, not too bad off. You got Joe Hayes, the man leading in that class. Nice looking machine he's got out there in the Ford GT, leading it in the GTE style class. Well, nope, my bad. Robert Covey.
He's still leading.
Yeah, Robert Kobe, he's still leading. And in the Honda class, Gustavo. Don't know how to say his last name, but I got Gustavo. I got that part.
Yep. We always struggled on the last name too. But
Yeah.
Gustavo, I think he's a road warrior. He's got a 3,000 plus rating on road, so I think this is a track that he's going to be very good at.
He is good, man, in the Sportsman Series so far. Good old Gustavo. Leading the Honda Series. I'm going to say it's the Honda Series right there, but like you said, that's what did you say those cars was again?
HPD. That's
HPDs.
Honda Performance Development,
Okay.
I believe. Yep.
Well, then there we go. When we say Honda, at least we ain't lying about it. Well, the Honda Series. Well, let's go back up front here. Daniel B. Johnson, obviously, in that Audi, he's looking good, and he's got a pretty good lead. He's got about 2.5 seconds now over Mark Stevenson.
And Joe, I think we got a first guest in the booth with us.
Oh, what's going on, Will? How are you?
G'day guys, how you doing?
Doing good. I tell you.
That's good.
You're not on the track?
No, not on the track. I've run my race in International 2 nights ago, so yeah, came in, help out, provide a bit of insight, especially with the HPD. So
yeah, that one's kind of a different for me. I mean, I'm kind of a little bit familiar with LMPs, LMP2s. I obviously love GT3, GTE style cars, but I've never really heard of the HPDs. And I'm calling them the Honda series because basically they're all Hondas out there. Is that what you were driving there, Will?
yeah, I was driving the HPD in the International Pro Race, and yeah, they're quite a fun car to drive. They're a open top prototype, as you can see, and a bit less spaceshipy than the LMP1 Porsche and Audi.
Absolutely. Well, how'd you fare in that race?
I won that race, and it was a Kinetic 1-2, which is Kinetic 1-2, which is my team. So I had the good luck of having my teammate directly behind me after 2.5 hours.
Well, there you go, man. There's nothing wrong with it right there. Gustavo, the man out there leading in the HBCs right now, he's out front looking good. Well, that's awesome. I tell you, and that's another thing I talk about all the time with the Sportsman Series here and the majors in general. Folks, look, we are in the Sportsman Series here, and appreciate the guys doing here on OSR Network. But if you want to see the Pro Series, there's many different levels that they do here. They have a Pro Series, a Sportsman Series. They have several different Pro Series that they do, 1, 2, and have a couple different Sportsman Series. But their main Pro Series right now on the American side is being broadcast over on the iRacing Esports Network. You can check it out at GSRC. Those guys are putting on that for you. But like what Will just mentioned a couple nights ago, they do have the European, and I say the Australian because it is kind of differently, but RaceSpot does the European, and I know SimSpeed does the Australian side of it. And it's kind of cool, and evidently old Will here, like I said, pulling it off in the Honda machine.
Yeah, it was a good bit of fun, and it was a terrifically broadcast race, and these races are really good fun to watch. Gustavo, who's leading the HPD, is defending champion of the 2.4 hours of LeMans, which is the one that you broadcasted in December last year. So he's a real weapon in these HPDs, so he might do okay.
And he has been very, very good and followed old Gustavo for a while now, and you're right. I mean, he definitely loves road racing. He probably one of the top notch here, so it looks good. He's doing great in the Sportsman and in his class, definitely leading. He's got a good lead there over JF, what's that, Godden? Hope I said it. Godden. All right. A pretty good lead over him in the second place there. And then you got Robert DeLoach right there sitting in the third place in that respective class. Now, obviously, overall on track, which is what a lot of folks are seeing out there, it's going to show that, they're 8th, 9th, and 10th. But remember, in road racing, folks, there's different classes. And right now, there are 7 in the top class from what I'm seeing. Now, we go back to that top class where Daniel B. Johnson is. I'm only seeing 2 manufacturers. Looks like a Ferrari and an Audi. Am I right? Or is that a Porsche? That's Porsche symbol.
Porsche and Audi. And it looks like Chris has dropped back. I think he's in the pits right now. So there's 8 total, but only 7 that are running right now.
Okay, good deal. Well, that's good. Always love having the guys up here for insight and tell you, with these guys, different style cars and all. Robert Covey, man, right now, Robert looking good in that Ford GT. Now, it's actually the first time in the Sportsman series I've seen the Ford GT out here, because all the GT3 or GTE style cars that have been run have only been the BMWs or Porsches or anything like that, Ferraris.
Yeah, the GTE class is quite a diverse class, and that's what I love about it. There's Fords, there's Porsches, there's Ferraris, and you open it up into real life, and it's terrific. It's like road cars, but even better. So it's the classic win on Sunday, sell on Monday kind of class.
You said that right there. That brings back. I'm a NASCAR guy, I love it, and so forth. But these cars, they're close to what the real thing are. They are full-blown race cars still. Got a lot of tech to them. I love talking about the tech as far as when it comes to the GT3E style machines. And man, you just saw Joey right there in the 4GT direct machine. He had to go through that bus stop a little bit and kind of had to get off of it there. That thing got a little wiggly on him.
Yeah, Joe, looks like Mark is chasing down Daniel B. Johnson again. He's within a second for the overall race lead. They're trading fast lap times right now, but
yeah, I was watching a replay right there, and that's one of the things that I got over here. I'm seeing guys, on and off the track a little bit. Unfortunately, we got no cautions here. That's the big thing about road racing, way different than what the Oval Series of what we've been seeing here in the past, couple months on the Sportsman is. With road racing, obviously, it's pretty much straight to it. And you're right, Mark Stevenson is running down Daniel Johnson. Is maybe by design, or is Daniel just kind of taking it easy right now? What do y'all think?
It could be, I think was mentioned earlier, track limits. Track limits are a massive penalty around here. If you take a little bit too much curb, you can get up to 2.5 seconds of slowdown time, which is effectively 3 seconds of lost lap time by the time you serve it. So, that could have happened throughout the lap, or Mark could have found some pace, for sure.
Well, right now he's looking pretty good. He's got him in sight to head off. Now, I'll apologize to anybody because I'm not really familiar with the French term names of some of these terms. So I will say probably bus stop or chicane or something like that, but I am not familiar with the true. William and Brian, y'all might know that. Y'all might know the real names to the terms.
Yeah, we might do some geography lessons throughout this stream and get some corner names down. So at the minute, the LMP1 leaders are coming down into the Mulsanne corner. So that comes off the back of the Mulsanne straight. So those two sort of lead into each other.
Gotcha.
Joe, you're on a replay here, so he's talking it just in front of that. They're coming down. There we are.
My bad. All right,
and then now this section here, this section's Indianapolis 1 and 2, and Indianapolis obviously an oval track, so the banking in these two turns is what comes up as why it's called Indianapolis, because it's very similarly banked to Indianapolis.
Nice.
Right here, the slowest corner of the track, Arnage, and very hard in the prototype cars because you don't have any downforce at all.
Yeah, and if you lock it up in the prototypes, it's hard to get it going again.
Yeah.
Well, now, that's odd that you said that right there. You talked about no downforce. I mean, is that something that's way different than, let's say, obviously GTE cars, those things are just planted to the ground, but what are you saying, the prototypes, they lack a lot of downforce in general?
So the prototypes, they're very high downforce machines, but their grip is biased towards that downforce. So in the high-speed corners, they're planted. But Arnage, you have a mid-corner speed of less than 100 kilometers an hour, so less than 60 mile an hour for the Imperial people there. And there's not enough speed to create that downforce. So the cars are very tricky in those corners.
Okay, so basically it's depending on pretty much the air going across it and how fast you're going, keeping the car down. Almost like an airplane, I'd say, or so forth, like something like that. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's a lot different, as far as, advancement or how that car's built, as opposed to something else is where the wings and the the splitters and all keep the cars planted and it's not so much of the speed involved, so it's more speed with these. Right now, though, Daniels, he's got a company with Mark. Well, Mark has picked the pace up.
Yeah, we're going to see the LMP1 start to catch traffic in droves in the next couple of laps. The lap speed difference is quite big between this and the GTE cars, so we're going to start seeing a lot of traffic starting to interfere with the overall classes and the speed of those cars.
What's that do for the psyche of the driver?
Traffic management is key. You can see here Daniel now having to check up in the middle of the first chicane here, giving Mark an absolutely bomb run. So, you can see here, look, there's going to be a lead change here coming up to the second chicane, and that was all caused by traffic. So you really have to have your head on a swivel around other cars to make sure that you can manage that traffic properly.
And just, in fairness of the slower car there, they caught him in the middle of a turn. Really not a lot he could have done at that point. I mean, just hold his line, and that's what they're supposed to do, basically hold their line, and then the leaders, just when they're able to, just fortunate, man, that Mark, right place, right time, was able to capitalize.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, Mark's probably going to get, these two LMPs are going to get through past this GTE here before the Mulsanne corner. But there's definitely a lot of spots where you want to try and clear the GTE cars or the HPD cars, and there's LMP1 cars, because you do lose a lot of lap time in the fast corners.
Yeah,
if you're stuck behind traffic. So you will see, I guarantee you, a lot of interclass wheel banging, which is never good, but you will see it because people will be impatient, or some GTE or HPD guys will be trying to dive out of the way, and that's something you try not to do.
Yeah, I know when I did a lot of it, and going, like you said, with the slower cars, basically to tell you, if you're a slower car, just hold your line, and the leader should just basically go around you. But like we saw right there, they caught him kind of in a bus stop, and you see Mark right now, he's going to catch. That's a good spot to catch a lot of those cars. Problem is, he's also going to catch a lot more in the turn, but all those guys, man, give him room.
Yep, here is a prime spot where traffic management is really key. The Porsche curves are pretty on edge for basically all the car classes, so you really have to pick your spot, whether around the outside or down the inside. And as you can see with Daniel and Mark, they actually navigated that very well.
Oh yeah. Well, let's go back here to old Gustavo. He is still leading that Honda class right there and doing an outstanding job. I mean, he has kind of just walked away. He's got almost, probably say, 4 seconds over JF right there.
Yeah, that's so far so good for Kinetic with Gustavo. He's doing a very good job. JF's keeping him honest, staying about 3 seconds back. Whether or not JF's sort of going for a fuel saving strategy, possibly, and just not going for raw pace. This race is incredibly close on fuel in the HPD, so you can. There's a lot of strategy that can be played.
The thing about it, look at that car right there, JF. It reminds me of the Radical. I don't know if y'all familiar with that car, but it reminds me of one of those, the Radical style car. I don't know who makes it, but there's a car called a Radical, and it kind of just resembles that a little bit.
I can see
I can see that. It's very canny resemblance, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Open top, covered in wheels. Sounds good. It's all the same.
It does. It kind of got that slick down body to it and all. So it's kind of just when it went around there, I was like, man, this kind of looks like that Radical car. But JF looking pretty good. Let's go back here. I tell you what, Robert, he looks like he's still the man when it comes to the GTE style class.
Yeah, 4 second lead there. That's terrific.
Yeah, he is definitely, man, walked out on that one. You got you got Nathan right there in the Porsche, keeping it pretty close. You got those guys are kind of spread out pretty good back there in GTE class. And like you just saw, we had a lot of guys. They were when they were spread, they were going through traffic, and I think maybe the traffic, we were talking about that a minute ago. Those leaders coming through, a lot of the GTE guys were on top of each other there in a pack. I would think that passing might be a good time maybe to overtake somebody.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the GTE cars do get packed up quite well because they the effect of the draft is very strong in those, whereas in the prototypes it's a little bit less, just because they're a bit more slick through the air. These GTE cars punch a massive hole in the air. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit more pack racing. Definitely no Daytona or Indianapolis, but yeah, you can definitely make a move if the time's right. There's a lot of places where you can make good moves, but in the same notion, there are a lot of places that you can make bad moves, because any overtake can be dangerous around here.
And you mentioned that too. That's the biggest thing with road racing in general. Oh, Ernie Ludwood crashing. Go back and watch this one here.
Oh no, first chicane by the looks of it.
Let's go and look and see what it is. He's side by side, and he just overdrove the turn, and that thing came out from under him. Luckily, did not hit anything. Just went into the gravel. So hopefully he'll be fine.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
not
gravel
bad.
trap doing its job.
Well, I say he didn't hit nothing, but wait a second. He's trying to get it straight. There, he got it straight. Good deal. All right, yeah, I just saw him there and said, Ernie crashed. I hate to see that on his end, but back to what we was saying, was talking about as far as when it comes to road racing. They call it gentleman racing, and you race more of the track than you do a lot of the guys around. I'm not saying you don't race them, but you mentioned something there, passing. Passing is so crucial on road racing, because there's certain parts that you want to pass, and there's certain parts you try not to pass in.
Yeah, and I'm sure Brian will be able to shed more light on some other tracks and other car classes as well, but definitely around here there's a lot of high-speed corners that don't work well for passing. I don't think you'll see many passes in the Porsche curves with the GTEs, but you will see some stuff into the slow corners, like the two chicanes on the Mulsanne straight.
I got you. Well, unfortunately, Maurice right there looped it around, coming into one of the turns in the Porsche machine. I'll tell you what, Mark Stevenson still the man up front, and he is walking away from Daniel, so he has found something on this track.
He's got a 6-second lead now. Believe me, if there's a leaderboard, he wants to be on top of it. So I didn't think he was tucking himself behind to draft or extend fuel. He wants to be first, and I know he was going to go for it. But the two of them have 30 seconds to the next driver, so it will be most likely between the two of those two for the overall win in LMP1.
Ernie went off the track again. Let's see. He overdrove the turn again. And he did catch the wall. He caught the wall a little bit right there. I don't know if it damaged the car or not. Let's see. It looks straight. And then we got Dominic back here. Let's go back on him. He went off the track.
That's that really slow corner again that we were talking about. Arnage with Ernie's crash, and that's a key example of what happens with the HPD when you lock a brake. It's very hard to make the corner, and you end up either in that gravel trap or backwards and in the inside wall there.
What's it do to your tires too on one of these cars? I know it's like when coming from NASCAR side of things and the oval side. Obviously you flat spot those tires. I'm gonna say it's the same thing here. I mean, is that going to affect him later on in his run?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the tire model is in development here, and so when you lock brakes or spin wheels, it definitely overheats them and can really affect the performance of the tire over a long run. And especially these HPDs, you'll be seeing some of the drivers try and double stint tires, so doing roughly about an hour and a half on tires. So locking up tires, wheel spinning is very bad for the longevity of that tire.
Okay. Good deal. Ernie right now overall back in 16th. He's falling off the pace a little bit. Gustavo's still running real well in the Honda class right there. He's leading it. Mark Stevenson is leading the main one here up front. Ever since he got around Daniel, he has kind of just walked away. We got Paul sitting back in third, though, overall in that class, in that Audi. He's looking good.
Yeah, Paul's in a bit of no man's land here. He's not up with the pace of the Sportsman leaders here, but he's not, back with Ronald and Carl there. So he's sort of probably playing a bit of a safe game in his own little space there, I'd say.
Well, you got, like you just said, Ronald, Carl. Now they're in the Porsche machine. Obviously, the two Audis sitting 2 and 3. And you've got 3 Porsches there. You got Ronald, Carl, and Steven. Is it Paulison? Is that it?
Sure.
I believe so.
Think so? I got it. Yeah.
We'll go with that.
I apologize, guys. I am still trying to get some of these names. I apologize, drivers out there, if you watch it. And believe me, for the whole series here, I've had fun and doing a lot of it. Watching this replay here on James, looks like he spun around in his GTE. Oh, just overdrove the turn. Oh, looped that thing around hard. And then looks like it just blinked it out of it. But, yeah, I'm trying to get some of these names down pat now. And Will, I tell you, I would really probably have a hard time if I was doing like the European or something, because y'all probably got some Francois or something in there.
Yeah, there's no Jameses, Marks, and people and Wills. It's definitely a little bit harder for name pronunciation, isn't it?
Absolutely. But it has been fun. Now, I got to ask, how do you feel, Will? I've talked to Brian. How do you feel about getting back on the road side of things? Because we've been on oval stuff for a while, and I know a lot of you guys are, road masters here in the majors. But it's a different world going on the oval. So how is your take on the oval stuff that we just came out of?
I'm by no means a road master and by no means an oval master. I'm sort of stuck in the middle where I'm not very good at either one of them. But yeah, ovals, and I'm actually quite enjoy them. We came off a very good result in Indy for our team at Kinetic. Couple wins in the pro divisions, and I actually quite enjoy that, and definitely love my short track racing. Bristol has to be one of my favourites in a super late or something like that. It's just terrific fun short track racing.
Oh, absolutely. And I had it. We was talking about Brian here. He said, "Well, we just did that Charlotte race and it was really long." You got to realize that is the longest race that NASCAR has. Charlotte actually is from where I'm at. It's only about 50 minutes from me, so that's kind of my home track. And it is the longest track in NASCAR, or longest race, in NASCAR. And I knew it was going to be about 4 hours or so. Phenomenal what they did here in the Sportsman Series. And I know that the Pro Series the same way. And then the Indy 500 race was phenomenal too. I got to take us back to the Audi road race that we did a couple months ago. That one was fun. I don't know did the Pro Series do that one also? Because, man, that front wheel drive, that race was phenomenal.
Oh, the TCR cars, yeah. They were terrific. Good classic touring car racing. Little bit of argy-bargy, bit of elbows out and defend your position or attack, and just great fun.
It was good race. I mean, that's probably the closest you'll get to a NASCAR road racing beating and banging that I have seen. Y'all were able to get out there and, like you said, just rub some fenders on a road race, and it was good to see there. Brian, now I can't remember. Refresh my memory there. How'd you do in that race, or was you in that race there?
Well, that was the one that was split into two. I think I wish there was a longer race, but I did okay. I think I was top 10, and then on the other one, maybe right around number 10. So spun and got back around to maybe 10th or 11th. But the first one, I think I may have finished something like a 5th, but it was fun. It was fun at the track, Zandvoort.
Well, I'm going to tell you, and the race, like I said, that was probably the one I really remember as far as the road racing sticks out. I mean, I've enjoyed them all, but that one right there was phenomenal. Now, I got to ask y'all's take, and I know, Brian, there, what do y'all think about the super speedway like Daytona, the drafting? I don't know how much familiar y'all are with that or how much y'all do, but what was y'all's take on that when we went to like the Daytona track?
Brian?
I am all about it. Love me some super speedway. I was lucky to get pole in the Sportsman. I really liked that race. Overshot my pit stop and really messed me up. And having the first pit stall on the pole position, I overwent the start-finish on. I think you called it out, Joe, in that race, and that really sealed my fate. But I love that. I like being really close, on edge. I do enjoy that one.
But
yeah, I love super speedways. It's I'm lucky enough to be part of a big team, and I think that's pretty key. I think in NASCAR you see a lot of manufacturer alliances, all people pitting at the same time and all in a row of Chevrolets or Fords or Toyotas. It's very similar in the majors. You have a lot of teams packing together, and you'll have a line of forged cars or a line of kinetic cars or a line of team cars like that. And yeah, I love it. I love the close quarters of it. I love the strategy element of it. Definitely a lot of fun. It keeps the adrenaline up for 2 hours or 3 hours, however long it is.
Yeah, it was fun to do it. I just wanted to get y'all's insight on that one. Is watching a replay here, and Nathan looks like contact between him and another machine there on the 4 GTs.
Awkward place to go too wide and try to pull that pass off.
Yeah, that's not to me. Now, again, y'all probably could correct me if I'm wrong here. That would not be a key place to pass. I would not say that would be an overtake style turn like that. I wouldn't think any.
I wouldn't do it going in, but I'd try to tuck underneath him and come out of it and beat him on the straightaway with the draft that we were talking about.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, this looks a little narrow going in there. And that's what we was talking about. We mentioned earlier, talking about, where to set up the pass. There's a lot of turns here that are really, really open to where to be able to do it, but there is those tight ones that you just don't want to, and that's just one of them. So I gotta ask though, now we've talked about the oval stuff, talked about the road stuff, we got some dirt racing coming up. How y'all feeling about that?
Oh no. Why'd you have to mention that, Joe?
Because one of my colleagues up here, John, is really looking forward. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it here tonight. He's out of town. He is really looking forward to it. And I love dirt racing. I do a lot of dirt racing I do some dirt racing on the channel, calling it. It's fast and furious, and it's very, very popular on iRacing. But again, I got the reason I asked is because, I look at you guys as road racing experts, and it's so diverse here at the majors. That's what makes it unique, along with the full style races. But gonna take y'all on the dirt track. I don't know how well y'all are on that. I mean,
yeah, when we were talking about it as a team, I think a lot of us were maybe marking that one down as our drop week. Thankfully we have one drop race, so we can always punt on that if we need to.
Oh, come on, Will. What you think? I know that you're gonna sling them 410s around.
I love driving 410s. I'm just not good at them. We had the race at Eldora last year, and it was just too chaotic for me. That you're running a foot off the wall most of the time, and you're running flat out again most of the time. And this year is going to be at Knoxville, so I'm not sure, is Knoxville sort of faster than Eldora?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I know Knoxville actually is where the Sprint Car Hall of Fame is. So again, it's one of the famed tracks. Obviously, Eldora owned by Tony Stewart. That's why it's really famed there. I think it's the 410s. That's the baddest sprint car, wing sprint car you can get into, and some like it, some don't. Some think that car is really just got too much power.
Too much power is never enough.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, those things are terrific. There's a dirt track near me in Australia that I like to get to at least a couple times a year, and some of the Yanks come out. We had Brad Sweet come out in the end of last year and go out there and kick some Australian butt that time.
Nice.
He was very, very good. So I quite enjoy it. I'm just not very good at it. I just want to point out that the lead in LMP1 has shot back out to 15 seconds. So again, probably just trying to get track limits and traffic sorted has really hurt some of these guys.
And they should be coming around for their first set of pit stops at the end of the next lap. They're completing their 10th lap. Should be about 11 or so on this first stint. Yep.
So Joshua Elaine has dropped down the order in LMP1. He's now in 17th overall. So can anyone verify whether or not he's had an accident or he's pitted?
He was in the pits for 5 minutes and 17 seconds. I was going to mention something, but we had a lively discussion earlier. But he was in the pits for 5 minutes. I don't know what happened to him. I know he was one to look for on that LMP1 with Daniel B. and Mark.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back here and see if I can't see when he made that pit stop for us. Joshua Allen.
3 laps ago, yeah.
Yep, he went into the pits, and let's see if he had any issues going into the pits. Or let's see if the car looked. He had damage on the car when he went into the pits.
I saw that get fixed there. Yep.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's see if I can get another
It
angle
looked
on
like
it
it
here.
instantly popped out, so it says
Yeah.
to me that he used his fast repair on that
Right
one.
there. Yep, right there it is. We're showing it on a replay, and boom. So there, maybe answers your question. Did he get into the wall or something? They would go back and look because it didn't show him. Let me see if I can go a little bit further back here and see if it shows him go off track or him wreck. Yes, actually, here it is. Okay, let's watch it here. Watch replay here. Joshua Allen.
Yeah, he qualified 3rd, so he's one of the fastest.
Go,
Yeah, that's a shame. You know, you have fast cars like that.
Yep, there it is.
End up making a mistake. It's really unfortunate.
Oh, lap car. Run him into the wall.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Wow.
As I said, lap traffic.
Red
lap
and white
traffic
tried to
will-
get out of the way, but he instead just steered right into him. That's definitely not Josh. That's definitely on the red and white car there.
And, you know, we were just talking, and like you just said, we were just talking about that where lap cars, and I get what the lap car was trying to do, but obviously, like you said, wrong. He should have, if he would have maintained going straight, the faster car was going to go around, which would have been Joshua. He would have made it around with no problem, but I get what the lap car saw, probably going, I'm going to get out of his way real quick. That's the wrong hesitation you want to happen as a lap car. I mean, so there's a textbook example of what not to do as a slower vehicle and a faster one coming up on you.
Yep, and I mean the closing speeds are so massive between, especially LMP1 and GTEs. There, the closing speeds are so massive that you don't get a second time to react.
Oh, and he
you know,
goes off track again. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I think if you rewind a little bit, I think that there was incident at Indianapolis there, just 2 corners before with a BMW.
Go. Well, he just overdrove the turn. I don't see any incident between the two.
One car went off, giving him some space. Sometimes they get jittery seeing these LMP1s in the rear view, but he just kind of went off. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yep, and he's just left the session. I think he's
done.
called it quits.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think we're going to have our leaders coming into the pits here. And I do see Gustavo in the pits. That says to me he may be trying to split the race up into equal quarters. Will, you may be able to talk about that because he is in the HPD. But I think the leaders coming
Yeah,
in.
looks like one of them now, Mark. Yep.
Yep, Mark's in. As for the HPDs here, it's, as I was pointing out, it's very close whether or not you make the 40 to 41 laps. So what we did in International was split it into even quarters, and I think Gustavo, being a team car of ours, is doing something very similar. Comes out right in front of teammates there, Jonathan Diggs. Jonathan's doing.
I would think the same
well,
thing with the GTE cars also. They
Let's have a look at
would
what-
they would have to they'd have to split this thing in two, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. There's I think the fuel range on the GTE cars is a little bit longer. It's about 45 minutes for a full tank in the HPD.
I got you.
So you can see Gustavo pitted about 5 minutes early, but that's what we can expect. Daniel Johnson just stopped in the pit box there, about 20 seconds behind Mark. So very good opening stint from Mark, able to overcome the track position, and Mark drops just in front of the GTE, and he's out of the pits now.
You know, the biggest amazing thing to see is the biggest thing with these tech on these cars, 37 pit stops, a 37-second pit stop to get the fuel. I want to say it's not so much the tires in real life of what it takes to change on these cars. It's the fuel delivery is so different in these cars, road cars, as opposed to, let's say, and obviously we was talking about the NASCAR cars. They do 12 and 13-second pit stops, 4 tires of fuel. But I think the fuel delivery in these cars, in real life, it takes a lot more time to force that fuel in.
So they don't do it at the same time. You are getting fuel first, and then if you
Okay.
let your tires, it's second. And so for the LMP1, it's about a 22-second pit stop for fuel only. And if you'll notice, Daniel B. Johnson had a 22.8 pit
Why
stop.
is that? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a curious thing. I've never really known that. I mean, that's actually kind of unique to hear right there.
He didn't take tires. Mark had a luxury of having a 20-something second lead, and so he took tires and had a 38-second pit stop. So that indicates that he took tires. He's got fresh tires. Daniel B caught up. He's only 7 seconds behind now, but that's because he it's a fuel-only stop for that first one.
Well, Gustavo went off track here. Let's watch a replay, see what happened. Just watching it right now, real close. He's going down the long straightaway here. It's got to happen in this bus stop somewhere. Looks like he just went off and came back on, but
just overdrove the corner a little bit. Again, a very slow corner. Definitely requires a lot of precision braking into there, and just
right there.
hard to control. That's for sure. The HPD gets a little bit tail happy or can lock the fronts depending on where you have your brake bias.
And since he split it up into equal quarters, sorry Joe, he definitely only did fuel for that stop, and he is on a double stint of tires for this one. So is it more difficult or not? We'll see.
Bradley right here says crashing. Let's go back on the replay and see. A while looking. Into the wall hard, and then he just hits the tires and destroys it. Like I said, nice looking paint job. Got to give him that. Unfortunately, it looks like it says "what the F" on it, but I don't know. He's probably thinking that right now. But hey,
I think after an accident like that, I think you would be thinking that.
We'll keep clean a little bit.
Oh,
folks,
that's a very odd accident. I've just replayed back to that.
Yeah.
It looks like either he's locked the rears under braking there, or he's had a equipment failure, because the car just pulls hard right and stays hard right.
And we can, we can attest that to. We're on the virtual world, folks. Obviously, not the real world, and a lot of things can happen. You can have, mechanical problems happen connection-wise, and so forth and so on. And that's usually why they pull right or left. Bernard here also showing that he's crashed in the Porsche. Looped it around, just spun it.
It does look like that red and white car that gave Joshua Elaine some problems earlier.
That looks like brake bias issue right there. That looks like just a little bit different on the brake bias. And Chris Yatito, is that right?
Yes, sir. That's right. Yep.
Yatito. Well, he just overdrove and hard into the tires.
So it's now coming around to pit cycle for the HPD in terms of if you're going to run a normal strategy as such. So you can see that Rob and Ernie are both in the pits or dropping
JF
and coming
has
out.
yet to make a pit stop. He's yet to make one.
Yeah, JF, what's he on, lap 12 now?
Yeah.
You can get 12 to 13 laps of fuel out of these things, depending on how much you save.
Okay.
14 is the magic number. 14 is your magic number if you want to not split it up into quarters, which is just about impossible.
So
Well,
12
he's,
13, we
good.
saw Gustavo in on number 10. So those are a couple different strategies. Very interesting. I did see Rob Powers and Ernie Ludwig in at the same time. Looks like they did take tires. And everybody else is still out on their 12th lap. They may be coming in this lap, maybe the next lap.
Yeah, I dare say JF will be in this lap. Obviously, we had about a quarter of a lap warm up, so you burn a little bit of fuel there that just probably makes it a little bit hard to reach the 13th lap.
Oh, Matt overdriving a turn a little bit, looping it around.
Yeah. Now, just as pit cycle's going on, you're going to see a lot of incidents, a lot of cars getting quite light, and cars that definitely feel like they can be driven faster, but sometimes it's just a little bit too much.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, man on rails still, that's old Robert Covey. He has got that Ford GT still rolling out there. He's got a little front end damage though. Don't know where that happened at. Like he might have got in contact with a slower car.
Quite possibly. Again, traffic management coming into the results of these races. You can be the quickest car out there, but if you lose 10 seconds or 15 seconds spinning behind another car, another thing. Okay, so we got JF.
I was going to say the
hitting now.
same thing, Will.
JF and Rob Deloach.
Deloach.
So
Yep.
Rob
Robert Deloach. Yep.
and Andrew Houston. So we're getting, four cars here pitting in a row.
Yep.
A couple of the UDOX cars.
Right.
And that was the top 4 in the Honda class there.
So
Yep.
only Gerard Gilbert is still out. He's on his 13th lap, but everyone else is in.
That's interesting.
Now, to go back to what you mentioned something before with the fuel and the tires. And you mentioned and you said that they take fuel first and then tires. Why is that? Why not? Is that something that is regulated in real life series, or is that just, I'd have to look that up, but why not take tires and fuel at the same time?
Why, I do not know.
Okay.
It's a safety thing.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so obviously in Australia we have V8 supercars. They do fuel and tyres at the same time, similar to NASCAR.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's also GT racing, like similar to this, where we take tyres and fuel separately. So because of the amount of fuel that you're jamming in the car at such a rate, if there was a fuel malfunction, so let's say the fuel filler nozzle broke, or a pipe got loose in the car, and that lit up, it's a lot easier. The damage is a lot less to people if there's not people changing tires. There's not 6 people crowding around changing tires when the fire goes up.
Just want to pop in. Mark is in the pits. He was leading on the overall, and Daniel B. Johnson is now in the overall lead.
Oh wow!
Sam
That's
just slammed the wall right there. So I was showing a replay there a minute. Unfortunately, in that BMW machine.
That's very interesting with Mark. It looks like he's taking his spare car as well. Looks like
He's
some of the left side of the car was quite banged up.
Yep, he's dropped the third.
Does anyone have a replay of that? That'd be interesting
Mark
to see
Stevenson?
I don't know.
Yeah, Mark Stevenson.
I can hear him on the radio chat. He says, "Just hold your line."
Yep,
so I
here
imagine
it is. Yep. Here we go.
car.
Yep, right here. It says he went off track. I just happened to see it a little bit ago. We'll just go back on the replay and we'll watch it right fast. We're watching the replay now. He's going through the, like I said, the slowest part. Don't see the lap car coming up.
Right, I don't see lap car and I don't see damage.
Not yet. So he must catch it up here pretty soon.
I think here's it.
Sorry to cut you off there, Will. I just saw him in the pits. I was like, oh no, something happened.
No,
there it is. He just went off the track and then slams the wall. So I don't know what he's saying as far as, from what we're seeing on the replay here, there was no lap car. Unless it was later on. I mean, we'll keep watching it maybe a little bit here. But that right there, there was first contact, him going off.
Yeah, this could be interesting. You can see coming up to the Porsche curbs, this is a very strict section of track. It's very hard to pass, as I said a little bit earlier.
Then he comes into pits, so
yeah.
I don't know what. Just watching the whole replay here of it. So he looks like he just overdrove the turn and got into the wall, and then coming into the pits. So I'm not quite sure.
Yep. Live, he's right up against second. This is for second place now, and now he's got second. And he's got 38 seconds to Daniel B. Johnson, so it'll be very interesting if he can make that time up or not.
Yeah.
But what this means is he's effectively forced himself into a different strategy. So it could be that he's almost shot himself in the foot and has to pit again. So it could be a very interesting race towards the end.
What would you do strategy-wise that you're kind of in this situation?
In that stop there where he took his spare car, I would have taken full fuel, no tyres, because tyres take time to change and he's only just changed them, and then gone as hard as I can. I think the 30-second gap, I think he's got enough pace that he might be able to chase it back down. Obviously, we've still got about 30 laps to go for the LMP1 cars, so looking at average pace, I think it might be quite close. Might be quite close here at the end.
I go back to what you were saying earlier, though. He was mentioning slower traffic, but I'm not. In that incident between them, I didn't see any slower traffic.
Right.
No.
Must have been
That's what
after he came out of the pits, and
Probably so, yeah. Ooh, right there was almost a bad spot to catch a car, but at this point, we saw him right there. It's probably a little aggressive move for him to do, but he's got to. He's so far back now.
He does.
He's got to run that car hard, probably a little harder than he wants.
Yeah, he's been a couple seconds faster per lap, and that's the math that Will was doing. Can he do 38 seconds? It's possible, but we still got a long ways to go. But you're right, Will. Like, you go in with a strategy of 3 pit stops, 4 stints. Are they equal, or is it a splashing dash at the end? But when you have a pit stop in between, that calculus is out the window, and you are now doing new calculations on your head to see how you're fitting in your pit stops for the last 90 minutes of the race.
Yeah, exactly. It's all good and well to have plans coming into these things, but you just got to have your strategy head on a swivel, I guess, to be able to adjust those things coming into it.
Has Gerard made his pit stop yet?
Yes, he made his pit stop. I was just about to mention that. He came out of the pits half a lap ago there. But when they all cross the line, I guess we'll see the corrected order. I have a feeling Gustavo should be a little bit further up the track.
Gustavo has still got the lead in that class. Gerard's sitting in second in the class. JF is sitting in third.
Well,
in the class.
Gerard only had a 32-second pit stop, but both JF and Rob DeLoach took tires, so they both had 47-second pit stops. So gotcha. Gerard leapfrogged them into second. Gustavo is cycled back to first. He's been strong all day long, but he also is 4 laps onto his tires. So it will be increasingly difficult in the middle part of this race with Gustavo if he's the only one on that cycle that Will had in his race of perhaps 10 laps.
Yep.
Equal quarter.
Be interesting.
The wear on the tyres is quite significant in these, so you might see maybe about an average difference of about half a second to a second a lap over the stint. So we'll see how it all plays out by the end of this fuel stint. It'll be very interesting.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, the man up front still, Daniel B. Johnson, he's out front, and looks like we got Earl in the back here, reckon. Go on Earl here and see what happened to him.
Oh dear. Oh, there's another car involved by looks of it. Yes.
Well, Earl locked it up, and I don't know who in the world the other one was, came in there hot and heavy with him, and then they both just kind of got into each other.
That's Greg McEnany. He's on our team. It just looks like Earl never turned into the corner and probably was leaving space, but locked it up and never turned in. And
now he's going to go into pits. So,
luckily, the pit entrance is right there. So
yeah, Greg right there looking pretty good. That was kind of strange, though. And it happens.
That's a very odd accident. Good old Greg's doing a smoke show for the French crowd there, coming into the chicane there.
Robert's on pit road. Man that was leading the GTE style class on pit road.
Yes.
Yep, starting to come around to GTE pit cycle here.
He did 13 laps on that first stint, which is right in the window. You can do 13, maybe 14, but that first out lap cuts into it, so 13 makes sense for them. You'll see Joey Haynes is in there too.
Oh, Daniel B. Johnson went off track. See what happened to him here on the replays. Hopefully it didn't hit anything, but we'll go back here and watch and see. I've just overdrove a turn.
Yeah, just caught the grass here coming down into the left-hander. Just got a little bit of grass on the left side of the car and just gave the car a bit of oversteer there as he turned in.
And I believe Daniel B. Johnson is looking for his first win this season. There it is. Yep.
Oh, there's the incident. Yeah, it tells me when a car goes off track or if it crashes or something like that. So I'm able to
we're down to 33 seconds. We were at 38 seconds before, but we're down to 33. That certainly cut into it. But I'm sure he's well aware of his relative.
Can he make that time up? I mean, is that feasible to do in the time now?
I think
can Mark do that?
I think coming into this pit stop, I think Daniel would probably take tyres if he's going with the sort of standard strategy with the LMP1. Mark might be able to not take tyres and gain a couple seconds there and hopefully just rely on his raw pace. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because you can definitely play a strategy game on whether or not you take tyres, how much fuel you take, just trying to get track position half of the time. It's a very complex race, and it gets even more complex the longer they are.
So unique too,
Yeah, exactly.
I love it, man.
One thing with these cars is that, especially with the LMP2 cars and the LMP1 cars, so the Honda class and the Audi and the Porsche, these cars are very sensitive aerodynamically. So if you bang them up over a curb, you can destroy the floor, and that's 3-4 seconds a lap gone.
Oh, okay.
So we have to keep an eye out for a simple off track. Could be that it's a simple off track and a bang over a curb, and fortunately that can be race ending for some cars.
Good shot right here, riding along with Gustavo, just to show, man, him kind of modulating through the turns. Just how tight and how it looks pretty smooth right now. I mean, maybe you could tell me, Will or Brian, just from what I'm seeing, he's looking like he's hitting his marks pretty good.
I think he's well in control. He's been leading since the start, coming here through the Ford chicane, back along the start-finish line, right ahead here. Yeah, I think he's well in control. And I think this would also be his first win of the season.
Yep, there's a couple kinetic cars here chasing some good results, and hopefully we can capitalise. I mean, we've got cars leading LMP1 and LMP2, so fingers crossed we can keep that result up. But it's going to be Gustavo's a very, very good driver. He's coming up here on a bit of lap traffic, so we'll see how he navigates this. Obviously, much slower classes, especially when they're your own car, are very hard to navigate.
That was close.
Very close.
Real close there. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Was that Earl again back there?
That might look like that was really close too, right? I didn't. It wouldn't have took much for him to. And actually, you talk about Earl. Earl just crashed.
Yeah, I was about to say he's off track or disconnected.
Yeah,
so.
let's go and see. He's real slow after that too. We just saw.
He was using first gear through some of the corners there.
Oh, okay.
Very
he told me he
interesting.
crashed. Yeah, he just stopped and just said, "I'm done." Pretty much. Unfortunately.
Might limp this thing around the pits.
Yeah, that thing
Very
is taking back place.
Very strange, especially for the class leader to be coming right up, and that was very close.
That was.
way too close.
Yeah. Whew. Well, hey. Sometimes, man, that's
Definitely
racing.
It gets your heart pumping. Those ones.
As a driver, yeah. I mean, up here it's exciting for us to watch, but as a driver, I can imagine, down there. Now, also, we talk about it since these are long-style races here at the Majors. And again, folks, we're here at the Major Series with the Sportsman tonight here for the 2.4 hours of Le Mans. I got old Brian and Will up here in the booth with me, giving some insight, two of the drivers here. One of them actually is a pro driver in the European Series. The other one is a driver here in the Sportsman Series. But, guys here at the Majors, they do full-style races, and what we really have talked about a lot of is the physicality. In real racing, we know those guys are real athletes. Here, we know it takes on your body to do some of these races. So after 2.5 hours, how you feeling?
Well, it's pretty hard work mentally around here, I think, especially in some of the faster cars, because you're managing so much. In the GTE cars, you're sort of just driving them. It makes it sound easy, but it's not. But you're not managing any hybrid systems or fuel numbers really compared to the HPD and the LMP1. The LMP1 has a electric hybrid system that you have to manually deploy if you want to go fast, basically. So that's very hard mentally there. Physically,
like the Indy car? Are you talking about it's almost like the or is it the Grand Prix or Indy that has the? I know what you're talking about. It's like I hear them say that they've got quick pass. Yeah, push to pass. That's it. Push to pass. Yeah.
Similar, but not quite. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the LMP1 car, when it puts the brakes out, it harvests electronic energy, and then on the exit of the corners, they can deploy that, and it can give, I think it's something like a 30% power boost out of the corners.
Wow.
So it's very very effective, but it's something you really need to manage, and it's quite a mental game in the LMP1. As for LMP2, it's quite a noisy car. It's a very high pitched engine, so you come out of it with a bit of a headache and a bit of bleeding ears, really.
Well, that's it. We know these are high-tech style cars. Hey, I love the tech behind a lot of the GTE, GT3 style cars, which is really close to what the manufacturers of those cars are. I mean, they are full-blown race cars with a lot of tech. But these are prototype cars like you're talking about with the LMP1s out here, and that's interesting because we talked about back with the Indy race, just a lot of the engines and the tech in those cars. To me, oval-wise, those are probably some of the most expensive as far as the Grand Prix cars go, but I would imagine the LMP cars are probably up there cost-wise as soon as another car go on track. Looks like Joshua.
I was about to say the same thing. So, in GTE, you're driving in the rearview mirror a lot, and that's a different, sensation. And I think there he saw the race leader, Daniel B. Johnson, coming up on him, and he locked it up, and he didn't get into him, but just got skittish and locked it up and went off on that right-hand chicane down the straight.
Absolutely. And it can happen in racing, like you just said. You just get everything comes up on you on fast and coming up on these turns, especially when you got a much faster car like we're seeing here on track. And that's just the difference in the beast here, road racing as opposed to, we talk about the oval racing and whatnot. But like I said, I love the tech side of these cars. That's why I really do like road racing in general. I think it's just so technologically advanced, with these with the prototypes, with the GTE 3s and the different ones out here. Now, I don't know if anyone of y'all know, I mean, as far as an LMP car goes, I know it used to be on an Indy car. It was about $450,000, maybe $500,000. How much does it cost to produce one of these cars?
From memory, the Porsche LMP budget. So when Porsche were building these cars in the day, it was in the hundreds of millions per year. So an operating budget of Porsche for its motorsport division was like 150 million just in their standard year. I think in their upstart year it was more like 250 million because they had to set all the cars up from scratch again.
Okay. All right, and that makes
sense. Very comparative to a Formula One team. These proper manufacturer-backed. So your factory teams, so like Porsche and Audi. But your privateer teams, like LMP2 teams, are nothing like that. A Le Mans Assault would probably be maybe $500,000.
Okay.
You got to buy the car. The cars are probably $1 million.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and I would say that's in the Grand Prix territory, I'd say. And everything is going up. I'm talking about, I remember back in the day, like NASCAR, you're looking at it was $100,000 to build a car. But I know that has went up since now there's so much tech in those with going with the fuel injection, the obviously telemetry they've got and stuff. I imagine those cars now to build one is, they're probably close to $500,000 now, maybe $300,000-$400,000 at least. Just in that one, and it has nowhere near the tech in it that a GTE or 3 car would have, or an Indy car for that matter. And so, just the price to build a car out here in real life, we're probably talking millions now.
Yeah, the NASCARs have definitely progressed a lot, haven't they? From
yes.
The 1987 cars we've got on the service here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. It's always cost in racing. They talk about it in NASCAR. They talk about it here. I imagine in road racing a lot. McLaren is a big name in road racing. We hear it a lot. Ferrari, obviously, because we see the Ferraris out here. Porsche, a huge name. Audi coming up in, and just so many manufacturers, and even Ford, just to bring their name into what they do, and the only American company to ever win the 24 hours of Le Mans.
I just want to point out, speaking about American cars, Robert Covey, the the GTE leader, has slipped down to 4th in class. So
he has. Remember, he made his pit stop.
Is that
Yeah, I
is
was
that an
going to say the
unscheduled pit
same.
stop?
No. He just took tires. He took tires. He had a minute-long pit stop, and everyone else looks like they had 30-second pit stops. So it
They
looks like
did.
Nathan
Yep.
Medina is class leader, followed by Dale Green and Gargaro. And then Covey finds himself in fourth, but he's the only one that took tires. So
Yes. You're right.
strategy and can he work his way through the field with fresh tires is something to look out for. I show him second on your screen there, Joe, but I see him fourth on my timing. I don't know which one is accurate. It looks like
No, he is fourth in the group, but you're talking about Nathan. You're talking about Nathan right now is the man that's
yes.
Nathan is in the top as far as being. Then you got Dale Green, and then you got David Gregario. Is that right? I hope that's right. Gregario. All right, and he is sitting in the fourth in that class, or excuse me, third in that class. And then Robert's actually, like you just said, in the fourth place. So now, I will say he's about 13 seconds back from David, though, is what I'm seeing. So he should be able to run him down.
I don't recall the.
It looks about 13 seconds,
Yeah,
14 seconds from David, third place, and Robert right there.
when he
LeMans.
did it, I don't remember the overall lead that he had. It was about
Well, it's
that.
26 seconds. It's saying 26. And again, well, excuse me. Here we go. Here's the gap in between them. This is what we need. 13 seconds between Robert and David. And I'm just going off what I'm reading here. So, folks, if I'm wrong, I apologize. Dale would be 20 seconds. It's 45 seconds between Nathan and Robert, from what I'm looking at right here, gap-wise. So that sounds about right. That would be between the pit stop and everything else, because you're talking about almost, 30-second difference in pit stop time, just
Correct.
alone.
Yep. So for the GTE, you're about 33 seconds for fuel only. But if you take tires, you had just a minute, maybe a minute and 1 second.
Yeah. So that's why Robert says it's falling back and, back there into that fourth place spot in the GTE class. And, we'll give him credit. We got a lot of these guys out here being the sportsman class here. And, Will, I know you're the pro man up here with us. And, a lot of sportsmen, a lot of sportsman guys. And folks, if you want to check out the Pro Series, check them out over there on iRacing Esports Network. GSRC's putting that on for us too. Same race, 2.4 hours. So that's the good thing about the majors. They have different series, and they have a little bit for everybody. And that's what I'm trying to get at here. Is it's not just built for fast guys of iRacing. You could come here. They have a level for everyone, and they let you build up through it. And we're talking about Robert here. I'm noticing I usually don't bring these numbers up. I don't even really say them because really, to me, it's skill on the track as most of those numbers. But I see his I rating really low, but yet he's doing well, and that's what I'm saying. It's skill level is what I look at on the track, and that's what I like about the major series here is you're able to grow, you're able to learn, and eventually get to those higher classes.
Yeah, it's a great learning tool if you want to really have a competitive feeling in the iRacing service. I remember I started racing in majors. I did 2 races in 2018 and then did sort of half a season last year. And it sort of forces you to practice a lot more than what you would normally for an official race. So you find yourself learning a lot of good habits and, talking with a lot more experienced guys just to try and find pace. And it's a terrific learning tool for any class of driver. I know a couple teammates of ours that are, Pro Series drivers in NASCAR or Porsche Cup drivers, or then you have guys like myself that started with a 500 I rating and then have built that up recently, just sort of from the good habits learnt from here.
Absolutely. And you speak of that right there. It is neat because it's good to see two diversities here. Getting to talk to y'all. Now, Will, with that said, how long did it take you to jump series in the majors?
I was actually around before the sort of split in Sportsman and Pro. So I was lucky enough that obviously Kinetic, we work pretty hard for these results. So we've always been given good setups, and it's all just about practicing good habits. So eventually, by the end of last year, I had a good license standing that I got put up into pro this year. So I guess end of last year was my
Okay.
step up into pro.
Well, we're watching a replay right here. Wow.
So if you remember back, Joshua Lane, the one of the faster LMP one cars, just randomly quit out. We thought he might have just had enough, and I wouldn't say rage quit, but maybe just a bit of impatience with that lap traffic
Right.
annoyed him a bit. I just got a message saying that his brake pedal came loose, and that out of compassion for his fellow competitors, that he decided just to park the car and try and not take anyone out. Just
Good
because the brake
sportsmanship
pedal was
there.
loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That's awful though, because you do practice for 3-4 weeks leading up to it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Earl's having a bad day.
Yes, he is.
Well, some guys, we mentioned that, and we don't want to, Earl, if you watch back, we're not picking on you, okay, or anything. I mean, hey, some guys, I tell you, like these tracks. Some just come here, like you said, can we just do the race and get over with? Some like it, some don't.
And I'll just speak to the teams that Will was speaking about. Many of us are rookies in the Major Series on Forge team. It's a brand new team. A couple of us were here last year, but I was one of the ones who just didn't make the cutoff to get promoted up to pro. My brother is on the team, and he's our pro representative.
Nice.
On the Sportsman teams, you can have 2 pro drivers. So our team is leading the Sportsman standings for team, but it's because it's our very best team, whereas Kinetic has probably 6 or 7 better teams, if you want to say that, in the various other pro ranks, and we're competing against our Sportsman representation. Very good, and we've been having very fun time racing against them. But I think we're at right where we need to be, and we're looking to grow as a team and to maybe have some of those magical setups come our way, and keep working through. And maybe next year we'll be in pro, maybe not. But it's a challenge, and we're hoping to grow as a team. And I think the other aspect of the team is you don't want to let those guys down. So you see them on practice every night, and you know what? Maybe you log on a little extra and be part of the team and put in the time.
Yeah, no doubt. And you mentioned that too, and don't want to take away, because obviously, like we were saying, Will working his way up there to the pro. But Brian, you're here in the Sportsman. Unfortunately tonight, not making the race, but like you said, you're representing your team. So let's look at the other side of it here. We've seen that Will worked his way up. What is your game plan or goal? I know you mentioned a little bit there to get to the pro side. What are your things that you're going to work on?
Well, I think there's a point cutoff. If you're above a certain level, they will promote you to pro. My I rating is not at the level that it is an automatic push to pro or input into pro. But if you're in the top so many positions, you will be automatically placed in a pro division. Now you can elect to move into pro as well. So if various teammates get promoted, I know Mark is number 1 in the standings individually right now, and we got a couple of others that are in the top 2 or 3. So depends on what the team does and what we do overall, who's going to be pro or not next year. But
sorry about that. I was just watching a replay here on the rec with Maurice, and I don't know who that was in front of or behind him, but boy, they did a heads-up job getting that car stopped in the Ferrari. Looks like he just overdrove, or he caught the apex right there a little bit. But man, whoever that is in that Ferrari did a heads-up job stopping that machine. I don't know who it is. Wow.
So in LMP2, it's still Gustavo and Jared leading the way. Gustavo's got what looks like about a 15-second gap here, so doing quite well.
Right. And I think Daniel B. Johnson is on his 11th lap, so a lot of the LMP1 guys may be coming around the pit this time around.
Yeah, that gap for the overall lead, though, is shrinking by the second. It's down to 25 seconds. So this is definitely starting to spice up a little bit. Traffic management, cut courses, things like that start to come into play. Consistency is key around here.
Now, let me
seen it
understand
jump
what
up.
we're saying is we're looking on 3 pit stops, right?
3 pit stops, 4 stints, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Be interesting.
But now
I
Mark
mean,
already has a second pit stop. It was 2 laps into the second stint. I still think he's going to have to do 3 full pit stops. So I think it's just going to be him chasing him down. I don't think he's going to be able to stretch because that accident didn't come deep enough into the second stint that he might be able to split up the remaining race into equal thirds.
Yeah,
And that's
it's going to be interesting for sure. I mean, it definitely it means you can probably push that stint a little bit longer because he's stayed out a little bit longer because of the crash, because he's obviously taken more fuel, and have a shorter stop at the end. But yeah, who knows? It might have just been perfect that he doesn't need to stop again. We'll see in the next coming laps. Looks like we've got about an hour and 6 minutes roughly left, which is about 1.5 stints. 1.5 stints for most of these cars.
well, Daniel's been the man out here all night long. He's definitely held down that top spot over Mark. In a second, Paul's actually done an outstanding job holding down the third there with Ronald, fourth in that class. And then you got Steven, who would be the 5th place car. I know folks are looking at it going, well, Joe, what's wrong with him? He's not in 5th, but overall in his class, he is.
Yep, again, just for anyone that's joined us recently, from the other side, there's 3 different classes here. We've got LMP1, LMP2, which is sort of very similar, but just without hybrid systems, and GTE, which is basically a race-going road car. With a bunch of telemetry in it. So there's class positions and overall positions.
I love the
Leaders.
GTs. Love them.
Daniel B. Johnson's in the pits. We'll see. He did take tires last time. We'll see what he does this go round. Oh, sorry. He
took 22. Yeah, his last pit was 22 seconds, so he only had to take fuel.
This
right?
is, I was going to say, since he is double stinting, that he's going to come in for a full one. And we'll see if Mark maybe changes his strategy or not to bite into that gap.
Here we go. Sitting here with Daniel. We'll see
He's
any
not,
second now if the car jacks up.
Should be about 37 seconds on this one. 36.
Yeah. As that's unique, though, you talk about the fuel. It takes, like you say, it's taking 20 seconds to put fuel in
There we
80
go.
seconds
He's
tires. Yep.
taking tires.
So it does actually, even on the virtual world, and sometimes it transfers over to the real world, it does seem like it takes a lot longer to put fuel in these machines than what the other cars, if it's taking 20 seconds to fill these machines up.
Yeah, so I think the Audi is something like 43 litres tank capacity.
Oh, wow,
I think.
okay.
So it's.
I mean, is that in gallons now? Come on, we're up here in America.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Let me get the calculator out.
I have 16.5 tank capacity for the LMP1
Gallon-wise?
gallons.
Okay, see, now that's all right. Let me throw
Which
this
is-
out here to you, a little bit of tech out here. We love doing the tech stuff here on the channel. You mentioned that would be a 16, 17 gallon tank, and obviously you go up liters there, but a 22 gallon tank is usually what they run in a NASCAR, and they can fill that thing up in almost 10 seconds. Why is it taking? Is it the forced or the different, delivery system that they're using, fuel wise, or it just got to be something different there of how those fuel cells are on the car?
Yeah, so with LMP1 you have, and LMP2, and basically all these teams here are running, how would you say, they're built-in fuel refueling tanks, so that they're not on someone's shoulder. They're actually a big tower in the back of the pits that you drain your fuel from. So most of those run a restrictor of some sort in there.
Okay.
Whether that be, for balance of performance, or whether that be for tank capacity or whatever. So it slows the rate of fuel, and again, that's a safety thing. It's
Okay.
if something broke, we don't want 150 litres of racing fuel
Oh yeah.
spilling everywhere and blowing up.
Well, they don't care
Whereas-
about that on NASCAR because you see that stuff flying everywhere.
Yeah, it's stuff flying everywhere. Who was it? Daytona 500. Chase Elliott ran out on the track
yeah.
with his fuel can still attached.
Absolutely, and it happened. I mean, well, and it's I don't want to. A lot of guys will be like, well, then that seems like the road guys are way more safer than NASCAR guys. In a nutshell, yeah, you could say that because you're right. Even though the gas tank man or the fuel man, he's essentially holding, I don't know how many gallons he's holding, but it's quite a bit in that tank. It takes 2 of those to fill up like roughly a 22-gallon 20 tank, so 10 gallons or whatnot. But he's basically shoving that stuff in there, and you see it. They have in the back of it, usually have a guy that gets the overflow, and a lot of that fuel falls on the ground. And yeah, sometimes the tanks do get on the track. We've seen fires, but you don't see that very often on the roadside.
So if we cut back to the race here, Gustavo's taken his pit at the end of last lap, similar to Daniel. So lap 21, lap 22. End of lap 21, Gustavo pitted. So we'll probably see Gerald doing something similar in the coming few laps.
It looks like Gustavo also took tires.
Yeah, so this is prime time for the HPD to take tyres. It basically means the race is split in half now. So you've done
Andrew
the first half of the race
also.
on one set of tyres, and then after that you put on a new set of tyres here and go to the finish.
Right. The second stop is going to be more the same for everyone with tires.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. You got, like I said, Gerald. Is that right? Gerald?
Yeah, Jared. We just call him Jerry back at Kinetic for
All right.
simplicity's sake.
Yeah, appreciate it. Helps me out a lot there. Well, he's out front, like I said. It's going to be interesting. These pit stops, that's the one thing, a lot of these races come down to pits and, fuel mileage, strategy.
Jerry should be pitting. Yes, he pits now. So this is, again, on time with strategy, maybe one lap a little late, but it definitely just opens up a few more alleys if he pits now.
Well, Earl's just having more problems. He's off track again.
And JF continues to go round, so
yeah.
I
showed Gerard has only have 9 laps on those tires. I thought he was one of the last ones to pit last time, but he's coming in after 9 to kind of even it back up, I think.
Quite possibly.
Yep, it's going to be interesting. JF stayed out. Let's see if Rob comes in or not. He's on his 11th lap. I think he's
Rob's gone round. He's sticking with the standard strategy, I guess.
I want to see if old Gerard here, or Gerald, is going to take. Car's not jacked up yet. So.
No, it's about 30 seconds on fuel.
There he goes. Yep. He's taking tires.
So it's 30 seconds on fuel in the HPD and about 15 seconds on tyres.
Well, Gerald's going to take tires this round. Does that surprise y'all?
No, this is perfectly on strategy for the HPD.
Okay.
And Mark is coming around for the completion of his 11th lap in the overall lead in LMP1, so we'll see him in the pits too.
And he had a good pit stop. I'm going to tell you what, I don't know what happened to Gustavo's pit at 42 seconds, but Gerald right there had a 36-second pit stop. That's huge on this track. That is huge.
So it could be optional repairs, possibly. Maybe a little bit of side-to-side contact. I know the nose change in this thing's about 4 seconds. And there we go, Mark Stevenson pitting from the lead.
But Will, you and I were both thinking he's going to take tires. 36 isn't enough to take the tires, so he must have just done fuel only, perhaps. He only had 9 laps on those. It was a shorter stint for him.
Yeah, so if he's sticking to the same strategy we did in the international...
No, Gerald did take tires. His car went up in the air.
It did go up in the air, yeah.
Yeah, it went up in the air, but he had a 36.88 pit stop to a 42 on Gustavo. That's going to translate huge on the track.
So that's roughly 44 litres of fuel, which is about what you want to take in this one. Maybe 44, 45 to try and get to another 10 laps.
We'll
So
see
he's
what Mark
taking
does
not
here.
not a complete tank in the HPD, so that's why the short stop.
Okay.
So this will be 22 if it's fuel only. He's getting there right now. Does he go up? No, he doesn't.
Nope.
He comes out. It's
Stevenson
fuel
comes
only.
out,
Yep.
and it's going to come out really close here, isn't it?
22 seconds. Yeah, he's got a 22 seconds.
They're right out on top of each other.
1 second. He's got the lead. He's right behind him. Wow.
Mm.
So he's double stinting. He's double stinting. They got a 1 second. 1.5 seconds.
This is huge. This is going to be very interesting towards the end of the race, because now Mark's going to have a slightly shorter stop as long as he can keep on strategy and save enough fuel.
Right.
He's going to have a shorter stop, so this could be his race to win. But it's all down to traffic management and consistency now.
What about tire wear? Where does that come into this here?
Well, he's double stinting now. Daniel B. Johnson is on fresh tires. So
Should he be able to run him down?
I think the pace we've seen from Mark today would say no. He does have the fresher tires Daniel B. Johnson does, but I don't think he's going to be able to.
Okay. And again, we got to look at that too. You know, y'all mentioned it earlier. This is open setups. A lot of it has to do with setup. That is the biggest difference between, let's say, a fixed style setup here on iRacing, where it would be relying on the driver and probably some of the tires would come into factor. Here, I think it also deals with that setup of how they have that thing, you know, how well it's set up and how well the tires, you know, how much they abuse them.
Yeah, for sure. I know at Kinetic we've spent quite a long time working out all the hybrid settings, and I'm sure at Forge you guys were doing the same. Just trying to get the optimal setup for this track, and it's very, very key.
And
You got to have.
Not to mention the update this past week with iRacing. I think it messed up some of the boost settings, I want to say, in the LMP1.
Yep. So
Let me ask this question too, while y'all talking about the setup stuff. On a track like this, there's so many different elements to it. You've got speed, you've got, you know, tight turns, kind of flowing style turns. When setting a car up, you can't set it up for everything. So what's the major important thing to set it up for here on a track like this? Speed or handling? Speed or handling, basically.
I feel like you want to be comfortable because it's a long race and you want to have control over the car. It's not on hot lapping. That's my take on it. I think you want to have more control.
So more of the handling side, okay. All right.
Yep,
So you
for
give
sure.
it up a little bit on the speed, okay. All right.
There was a spin right in front of the leaders there at Arnage. Anyway,
I saw that, yeah. I don't know who it
so
was.
with Kinetic, especially with the HPD, it's a car you can almost find a perfect medium and be quick in a straight line, which is very, you know, obviously if you run massive wing, you're going to be very slow in a straight line and going to get monstered. So you have to run as little wing as possible and then be still, you know, stable through the high speed stuff. So that's we found a quite nice stable medium, I guess you could say, with the Kinetic cars. But if you're biasing one way more than another, you're probably going towards handling, so you can settle in and not be worried about the car spitting you out into a fence or crashing.
Yeah, because if you can just keep it clean, you'll find yourself in the top 5 or a podium.
Well, I think there's enough turns at this track. You know, I mean, obviously we've got the famed long straightaway in the back there, but I think there's enough turns in here that if you do, like you said, set it up for a really handling style car, because you've got to give a take on something. You can either set it up for handling or you set it up for, like y'all said, you know, kind of flat out speed. Definitely different than, let's say, setting it up for Daytona Road, where I would think more speed would come in, but then again, it could be wrong on that one.
Well, is it the 24-hour race or is it the
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Something else? So it just depends.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah, you got to look at it differently like that. Well, it's like JF here. He's coming into the pits. Is this scheduled?
Yep, this is his 12th lap on the tires. So now the pit, it's very difficult getting into the pit lanes. 37 mile an hour Very slow. It's a tight chicane coming in, but this is the finish of his 12th lap, so this would be, and then I think Rob DeLoach would be right behind him after this.
Yep. So this is the run the tank full and run it dry every stint strategy, which is a viable strategy as long as you can fuel save in the next 2 laps. Otherwise, in the next 2 stints. Otherwise, you're sort of committed to making a splash and dash at the end and making another pit stop.
Right.
So yeah, we'll see here. He's pitting out of the
lead. We have a
lead.
leader change. Do we have a Daniel B. Johnson? I just have on my scoring win ahead of Mark.
He
Stevens.
did.
He's now got
Mark went off track. Go back and watch. I was watching the pit stop there, but let's see what happened to Mark. And we were just talking about that. That's pretty much what it's going to take. A slip up, but maybe those tires we were talking about there. We were watching a replay here. See, he's down the straightaway.
He is double stinting, so we'll see.
So here's the consistency element. Whether you can stay consistently quick enough on those double stinted tires to be able to stick with the guy ahead, or
he just overdrove it.
Just couldn't make Mulsanne. He bailed before he tried and really spun around, and he just went to the grass. So he's now 3 seconds behind. But he's got another 8-9 more laps to manage the tires. If that is what's struggling, I'm not sure yet.
Well, we'll just have to keep an eye on that. That's crazy to see. A leader, and like you said, I mean, just like that. Now tires, I mean, I know we're not talking, but it looks like you can already see that car's kind of wiggly, even when it went around that lap car there, or slower car. That thing, man, kind of just bobbling around, so he might have his hands full right now with it.
Yeah, and that's something very interestingly modeled, quite realistic in the tires, is that you can do a stint. Let's say you do a stint in the HPD here, and you do a double stint. At the end of the double stint, it might feel okay, but when you're sitting in the pits, the car's tires are getting cold, and then you put a full tank of fuel in it, and then you go out there and you heat them back up again, and that takes so much performance out of the tires. You're going to see a lot of mistakes on people doing double stints.
I'll tell you what, though, he is maintaining pace with Daniel. He's right there with him, so he's running that car hard. I mean, is that by design, y'all think, or?
Yeah, like I said,
right there.
If there's a leaderboard, he wants to be on top of it. I mean, he has his eye on Daniel B. Johnson. Mark's got 3 victories, I believe, this year, and I think Daniel doesn't have any. But they are 1-2 in the points, and they're 1-2 this race. So it's extremely tight. Good racing we got here, but I do expect Mark to make a pass at the end of this lap.
And maybe he's also looking at the fact too, I got to keep Daniel close because he knows he's that the pit strategy he's got. Well, he's there.
It's going to be interesting. He might use up some of his boost to get alongside of him. Ooh, very late move there, I'd say.
Oh, good pass.
Yep.
Gets it done almost.
Does he? Is he off? Did he get a slowdown? We don't know.
We don't know.
No, he made it.
Doesn't look like it made it stick.
Looks like he made it. Yeah.
Wow.
Little late, but he made it stick there. And like I said, first time he can make the move, I think he will. Glad to see that worked out for both of them. Now let's see if Daniel B. Johnson can hang on to a bit of draft and maybe stick with them.
Yep, or a bit of traffic management coming up here, whether or not they'll clear these guys in time. Maybe
UDOC's car in front of them and HPD.
Maybe a different hybrid deployment. Maybe Daniel might use up a little bit of his boost to try and keep with him.
But if Daniel can keep with him, that'll show something because he has been falling behind Mark during the runs.
Ooh,
Wow, he overdrove the turn. Oh,
yep, drove it there.
Wow.
Ouch.
Yep, and that's the consistency thing we're talking about. You can be fast, but you can be fast.
Talk about mental mistakes too. I always say that a lot. And that's not what you want to see in front of your car blinking. That's the last thing you want to see on the track. But I always talk about the mental mistakes, and you talk about it basically runs in the realm of, like you said, consistency. And you mentioned it earlier there, Will, how much mental it is on this track. at this point, we're getting down to, we're over halfway. And, some of maybe that mental concentration is kind of playing in.
Yeah, for sure. What are we now? An hour and almost 40 minutes in, so basically 2/3 of the way through the race. So we're going to be seeing a lot of mental attrition. It's going to be taking its toll on a lot of drivers, and I guess we'll see maybe some physical people, starting to sweat it out. Need to take a drink or do a reverse drink. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of interesting racing coming up, I'm sure. As for the HPD drivers, I think are probably some of the hardest mentally to drive, because as Brian mentioned earlier, that GTE guys are always looking in their mirrors, the LMP1 guys are always looking forward. The HPD, you're doing both, because you're looking forward to pass the GTE drivers and you're looking in the mirrors for LMP1's coming. So it's a very mental game in the HPD.
Well, Gustavo has got it down pat right now. He's leading that pack. Gerald's sitting there in the second in that class, with JF sitting third. I mean, Gustavo has been the man all night long there in that Honda and Kinetic.
Yep, very pretty looking cars, 1 and 2. Doing very well, which is good. Just Mr. Consistent, I think, at the minute for Gustavo.
Oh, yeah. He's hit his marks. He's looked smooth all race long. He went around that the GTE car right there. Made it look easy.
Yeah, but interestingly, JF and Jerry are sort of only maybe 2 corners behind each other. So it's going to be interesting here. I think JF took tyres as well. So whether on raw pace, Jerry can
his last pit stop was 47 seconds.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see if JF can catch Jerry, but we'll see.
Oh.
Robert Delote sitting back there.
Yeah, Rob's our most consistent driver on our team. I fully expect him to come home with a clean car every race.
And the leaders are back together there.
Well, Mark Stevenson went off track again. Let's go back on the replay here and watch. He had a pretty good substantial lead over Daniel Johnson at the time.
And there goes Daniel through there. Daniel through the lead.
Yeah, let's see.
Mark just came on chat that he's got damage. He came on.
Let's go back on the replay. We're watching a replay here right quick on what happened to Mark. Oh, he tried to slow up. I mean, there was a car in front there that was sliding. And then he hits the wall. Yep. He went off track, hit the wall a little bit. Looked like too much damage, but yeah, it was a cluster of machines there. And then we're just going to keep watching the replay here when Daniel makes the pass on him. Because you mentioned that.
When he came out of the corner, he got out on the outside of the track, and there is a massive bump there that can launch these cars a good couple of feet into the air. And as I was talking about how sensitive these cars are to damage, that would have just destroyed the floor of Mark's car, which is really unfortunate. That's a massive amount of damage.
There's the pass for the lead you were saying too, right there.
He's saying he's most likely done, and he had some words. So
well, you can see the side of the car.
He has damage, but he's already taken his fast repairs.
Oh,
so
he has?
yes. That was earlier.
You can see the side of the car right there. It looks like on the left side, just a little bit. I mean, from here, it don't look bad. But then again, we're not inside the car. We don't know what it feels like. And just like what Will said right there, you can see the back wing there. We see it kind of a little bit. Kind of looks like it's mashed in on that back corner. That's where he hit.
He will be hobbling home. Depends on how much he can get fixed. The lead is now 4 seconds. It looks like it's growing, but yeah, that's a tough.
I get the frustration. I do, and I get the frustration because we was watching the replay right there, and there's really, I don't think a lot of any of those 2 GTE cars were checking up because it looked like another machine. I don't know if it was a Honda or LMP was spinning in front of them, so they had no choice but to check up. It was just basically a wrong place, wrong time situation for Mark.
Absolutely.
There in the chicane. I mean, it's just really a bad area to have that happen.
Yep, got put out a little bit wide, trying to avoid the cluster of machinery there, and just probably caught that bump on the outside of the track quite badly, and probably bumped the floor. The floor is the most sensitive part of these cars, and if it's ripped the floor out of it, yeah, he's done. That's really unfortunate. That's a tough break, and I really feel for the guy because he just had the pace to win this.
He did, but you know that's the thing about the road racing with different style classes. And you mentioned it earlier, patience and where you hit these guys at on the track is key. And in an instance like that, now like what we saw earlier with another slower car, we said that was basically the textbook way of not to be a slower car. In an incident like there with Mark, really there was just nothing that could be done. It's just basically he showed up at the wrong time and the wrong place. If it had been maybe a couple seconds earlier or later, he might have been okay.
Yeah, exactly. If it'd just been, maybe half a second longer in a pit stop and lost maybe a second in the pit lane, then he might have just been able to avoid that slightly different. And that's sort of the ups and downs of racing, I guess. You can have a terrific race like Mark's been having so far and just get caught on a little nick here and there, and it can really hurt you.
So I don't know if it's going to hurt. I mean, is it hurting him that bad? I mean, you can see the wing on the back of it. It is bent. But, I mean, you think he still could run Daniel down?
Well, he's been hovering between 3 and 4 seconds. He has been holding that. And I was just going to ask Will, if it is floor damage, is that fixable? I mean, I can understand a wing. He can do the optional repairs. But if he took that big bounce that we saw, is that going to be fixable with the repairs and get him back on his earlier pace? Because I don't think so.
The floor is not fixable, I don't think.
That's what he's talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, but the wings and the side of the car you can definitely fix up. So
here he comes.
No.
There's a crash here. It's a leader. There goes.
Oh
no!
Yeah, let me go. Joshua Mark. No.
Whoa! What the? Yeah, Joshua Mertz. That's
Joshua Mertz. Let's go back on him here and see.
And that's the race leader in the background, the blue.
Okay, the GTE car, went off, hit,
I don't know
and
came
back up on the track and just clipped him.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Ouch.
It almost looks like Joshua Mertz was making a move around the cars, but that's exactly where Daniel B. Johnson wanted to be. And
yeah, let's go watch it one more time, different angle here.
Bad luck again. It's a 10-second lead right now. Unknown what his damage is.
Well, Mark loves it. Mark's going, wow. What else is going to happen in this race? Let's watch it one more time
now
here.
They're both limping along, so it's going to be very interesting. So it's
Daniel's really.
Yeah, you see the GTE car again. Textbook. What not to do for
teammate.
Yeah, just I don't know why he would have. I get what he was doing. He was trying to get out of the way, but again, we mentioned that earlier. Don't do that. Just hold your line and let the leader come around you. And now he's got substantial damage on the back.
And Daniel's taken a tow, so he's going to lose.
That car looks like because. We're still watching the replay here, and I don't know if you can see, guys. You can just see that car just kind of wobbling back and forth.
Yeah. He probably tried to drive it afterwards, said it was not gonna be enough. He took the tow. He's in the pits now while it's towing. He's down the third.
Wow. So talk about a turn. First off, Mark slams the wall, gets caught up. Definitely losing it. And then our leader, Daniel B. Johnson, crashing, getting caught up in a crash. And now Mark back out front. Well, that puts us to Paul. Paul sitting here going, guys, destroy some more, and I'll be up there.
Yeah, he's been pretty steady. I haven't spoken about him today, but he's now P2. He's a minute behind Mark.
Well,
it just
Mark,
like
your sigh of relief, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely a lucky break there, I guess. But I have no clue what Josh was doing there. Where maybe he might have had some equipment failure, or maybe tried to let leader through. I don't know. That was very mismanaged.
Well, did you say Joshua Mertz was on the same team? I thought he looked like a different paint scheme.
Yeah, that's a kinetic car.
Okay.
Just a little miscommunication there, between the two. Just unfortunate, but, like I say, Paul's going to sit up there in third in the class. We've also got Steven here, though, who right now is fourth in the class, but
those guys could move up to second or third here.
Yeah, he should be able to move up to maybe third.
He may have an eye on a podium right now, but he's going to be coming in at the end of this lap. This is his 11th lap, so he'll be coming in at the end of this lap. Daniel B. Johnson is still having that toe in the pits in third place right now. Oh, I hate that when they hit that cone. So
they probably have fun when they do it.
Well, that's the Mulsanne turn there at the end of the straightaway. If they hit that cone, it really screws up the turn-in points for some of the other cars. I know I use that cone as a turn-in point at the end of the straightaway. And if that cone's not there, I'm in all sorts of trouble.
You start looking at the signs.
Got no braking markers, got no turn-in markers. It gets very confusing. It's even worse when it's nighttime and you're trying to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Steven right now looking pretty good. Yeah, nighttime's my bet is I never liked it. Even when I drove, I didn't like it. But what's up, John King out there? He's going, Josh isn't kinetic. He hangs with us because he was BAM. What is BAM? What in the world is BAM? You mean ban or BAM? What is BAM?
BAM is basically the precursor to kinetic. Is a team formed out of the remnants of Blackadder Motorsport, which is BAM.
So, okay, then that explains. So Josh, they're not part of Kinetic, so they're not teammates. So that's where the miscommunication probably came in.
He's listed as independent.
Yeah. I hate that. Just on
a satellite car, I guess.
Yeah, Daniel's in, so.
Still
JF Godden just had a bit of a mistake here at the first chicane. Just clipped the curb, did a semi-spin off into the gravel a little bit there, but no damage and carried on. Maybe lost 3 or 4 seconds there.
Not showing it. I can't go back and look at it. I'm not showing where it showed him went off the track. Usually it tells me if one of them went off the track or not. I'm trying to find it here.
So that's a good break for Gustavo and Jerry there. That's now probably a couple more corners between them.
Oh yeah. Well, back in the GTE class, it's all Robert. That guy's just been on rails. He's got that Ford GT looking good. And what's going on, John? How you doing out there? I got Will up here with me and Brian. They've been giving me all kinds of heads-up insight. John usually comes up here and he'll give me some good insight on the road side of things here at the majors. I appreciate you guys. It's kind of cool to see. I like bringing drivers up here in the booth because it gives you a different perspective of what we see. I know sometimes I was telling Brian, I said, some drivers be like, what in the world is that guy talking about up there? It's a different way of viewing the race.
Yeah, it's definitely good to have the insight. Some drivers, it's good to have insight of commentators. Obviously, you guys can read into things a little bit more than we can. We're just, ham-fisted drivers, I guess you could say. So...
Had a good field here of GTE cars. I mean, that class is always packed, pretty spread out right now here on the LeMans. But
definitely have the most entrants in the GTE class, and Robert Covey has found himself. He's back in the lead. Looks like Dale Green has pitted, but Robert Covey will be coming around the pit this time around. This is 14th lap.
Yeah, so Dale just coming out of Arnage, Robert coming through the Porsche curves here, so about 10 seconds gap, roughly, which is interesting. I think that was a little bit bigger coming into that pit stop cycle, wasn't it? He made a mistake recently.
It's actually a 20-second gap between the two.
Dale Green just did a 29-second pit stop, so it must have been fuel only.
Yeah, another fuel only stop. Here we go. Robert Covey coming into pit. So, will he take tyres? I take it probably not. He's only got about half an hour left to run. Definitely not enough time to make up the difference of taking tyres.
Pretty looking car, I'm gonna tell you. You talk about advancements in cars, and you go back to the history of this track. Le Mans, known for the 24 hours of Le Mans. We talk about Ford, the only American. Right there's a little mess up too. There's talk about mental mistakes on pit road, had to back up. But talk about the history of the track. The only American manufacturer to ever win the 24-hour Le Mans, and obviously one of the only the driver that Shelby, the only driver American-wise to win. I don't think he's the only American. Yeah, he is. I think he is. Am I right? I think he's American, only American to win it.
Might have to hit the history books.
I know Ford is the only American company to do it, and obviously they've done it several times, but they were the only ones to ever do it, to win the 24-hour and whatnot. Obviously, we go back, because when we was doing the 24-hour race, we were talking about at the time, they had the movie out there, Ford versus Ferrari. It was a rivalry back then, and huge. And I did some history on the track here at Le Mans. I mean, this place has got a lot of history to it, and then obviously for us to be here tonight and y'all doing the Majors 24-hour race, that was a phenomenal race to do it. Definitely a different experience for me. So good to see some of these cars out here. It looks like Robert did take tires. He came back on the track. You think he took tires. He took tires. A 55-second pit stop.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was a good idea.
Yeah, it's shorter than the full because he didn't have to put a full tank of fuel in to make it to the end, but he did take tires. And while we're chatting, Mark Stevenson, our race leader in the LMP1 class, he took his final stop, 36 seconds, indicates that he did take tires for his last stop for the last 3 minutes.
And guess
We're
what?
also cycling around
right there on him.
HPD pit cycle here, so we might see Gustavo and Jared stopping in the next couple of laps.
And we talk about Paul. Now Paul's 19 seconds, 20 seconds back from Mark. We haven't really talked about him, but he finds himself in second in his class.
That's as close as he's gonna get, Joe. He's gonna pit here.
Well, maybe he's hoping Mark will have another mess up or something. So we'll have to see. I don't want to wish any bad doings on any drivers out here. And I know Mark's already had an up and down. And looks like Daniel B. Johnson back on the track. And he maintained in third. Wow. So that's impressive there, to be able to hold on to third.
That
just stayed on the lead lap.
That would be a clean car, so he's going to be putting down some time. And
just a little too far by. I'd say he can't make up a minute 50 seconds. I wouldn't think. I mean, can he make up that kind of time?
Well, Paul's going to be pitting here pretty soon, and I think Daniel B. Johnson is going to be good to the end.
But I'm saying that can he run Mark down? I mean, unless Mark was to make a huge mistake on track.
Right.
Yep, I think that's really the only option, because I think if Mark's smart, which from all accounts he kind of is, so he'll take tyres, so that means he's safe in terms of tyre wear. There's no chances of him pushing the car too hard. He doesn't need to push, and if he does push too hard and get involved in an accident, then that's the one way to lose it, especially coming into this last half hour.
Rob Powers in the pits in the LMP2 class. Ernie Ludwig in the pits, LMP2 class. Teammates.
Yep.
Good old Ernie.
So here's the pit cycle coming on for the HPDs. These cars can make the end from here. We've got 28 minutes. So this is quite easily within the pit range of the HPD.
So Gustavo is still out there. Gerard will be coming in as well. Then you got the others, JF and Rob Deloach. They are probably going to be going for more of a splash and dash at the end.
Yep. So this is where the strategy plays in. Gustavo's going to stop. He's going to take about 20 seconds of fuel and no tires. So about a 50-second loss, including pit lane transit.
And there's Paul Schumann in the pits right in front of him in that green LMP1 car. He pulled in for his last stop. He's second right now in the LMP1 class. Daniel B.
Yep.
Johnston will likely pass him on track by the time he comes out. We'll see.
It's going to be close. Daniel's just entering the Porsche curves, and he's second now. He's sort of halfway down that stretch into the Porsche curves.
Yeah, you see Paul, he's taking his tires right now.
So that means fuel's done. He's going to drop in about 5 seconds' time.
This is the race for second
There we
place.
go. So this is the race for second places. Brian just pointed out there. Daniel's coming into the Ford chicane now. So, yeah, there's a little bit of time. That's still got to be about 20 seconds.
And there's Paul Shipman going through the Dunlop curve. Dunlop chicane on the Dunlop sign.
It's going to be close here. We know.
20
We know
seconds.
that. Yeah, 20-second gap. We know Daniel is quite quick. He probably has the pace on Paul, but we've seen him make a few mistakes recently. So whether or not he'll keep it consistent, might be able to chase him down here.
Agreed.
Yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on that run right there.
Yep. And HPD leader Gustavo is in.
Yes. That's 10
Followed
laps.
by-
Very consistent. He's been 10, 10, and 10.
And Jerry comes. No, Jerry stays out. He's going to keep on running around. He's going to have that slightly shorter stop towards the end of this race. I'd probably say he's on a sort of intermediate strategy between JF and Gustavo. So he might be in the next lap or two.
We'll
And
see
then
if
we'll
Gustavo
cycle
takes
through,
tires.
right?
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because this last
We'll
stint
see.
will be the shortest, so it won't be quite double stinting. It'll be a stint and a half maybe for Gustavo, but he's been doing those 10 lap stints the whole race and been leading. But once Gerard comes in the
And
pit,
he's away, so that's good.
yep, 23 seconds. Okay, so he's going to come out. Is that in between JF and Rob?
Yep.
Okay. JF and Rob obviously have to pit one last time, but it'll be a very short pit stop at the end.
Yeah, so how long has JF been going on this set of tyres, this set,
He
since he last stopped?
This is his 8th lap. This
Okay, so he's probably got about 5 laps left
Mhm.
if he wants to stick on that strategy, which means he'll be about 10 minutes from the finish. So he needs to save about 3 laps of fuel, otherwise he'll need to splash and dash, and that's probably a bit too much to ask.
It looks like 4 of them are on that strategy. So that's JF, that's Rob DeLoach, Andrew Hewson, George Angus. They're all on their 8th lap right now.
Problem is he only has a 12-second lead over Gustavo.
Gerard, yeah.
Yeah.
Or JF.
JF does. Gerard's got a 20-some second over
Yeah, so pit lane, just rolling down pit lane, you lose about 30 seconds. So by the time he stops, takes probably 3 laps of fuel, so what's that, 12? So probably another 6 seconds stationary time. He's going to end up about 16
Gerard off
seconds
track.
behind. Oh,
watch. See here on the replay.
just ran a little bit wide there into that heavy braking zone. That's a very hot spot, you know, just coming out of light fuel, I guess, and starting to push the car maybe a little bit too hard. Keeps it out of the wall, so that's good. Very good control to keep it out of the wall there.
Yeah, but he had a substantial lead anyways. You know, we see it right there. Hard into the turn. He had a pretty good lead. I don't know why he would be wanting to push that car that hard.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting driving the HPD. The car gets so much quicker towards the end of the stint. The last lap is usually something like 3 to 4 seconds quicker than your initial lap on a full tank of fuel. So it really encourages pushing, but maybe not that hard.
Yeah, it'll be something interesting to keep an eye on there.
So we're going to see, is Jerry going to pit?
Gerard may be coming in. Let's keep an eye.
Yeah,
If I was him, I'd pit now, you know, maximise your loss on this lap and Take fuel. No, stays out.
No,
Okay.
he stays out. Wow.
Interesting strategy here.
Yeah, because he had 9 laps on the last stint. Now this is going to be his 11th lap.
Yeah, so definitely a bit of a mixed up strategy, I guess. Not as neat as Gustavo's 10, 10, 10, and 10. Yeah, JF still staying out. So back to GTE. Dale Green looks like he's got a decent lead there, but he just had to avoid Greg, one of the Forge cars here.
McEnany, yep.
Yeah, he had a bit of an off track there at the Mulsanne corner.
So I see Dale Green is in the lead there in the GTE. He's looking very strong. Robert Covey is back to 4th.
Back to 4th, yeah.
Looks like Dale maybe just did fuel only his last stop. I'm not sure because his pit stop was 20 seconds faster.
Well, it's 29 seconds is what he had.
Huh. He's definitely eyeing the clock. It's only 24 minutes left.
Nice looking Porsche machine. Love to put that thing in victory lane here tonight.
I just got a message from Team Boss saying that Jerry's strategy is off his own cuff. He didn't read the briefing, so he's making it up as he goes along, like a what a legend.
Yep. So we got
He
Andrew.
didn't get the memo on that one, huh?
Get the memo. So Dale Green. Oh, what's going on here? I think Dale Green's out of fuel.
I can't
Is he
imagine.
out
This is his
is he-
4th lap on this.
Is he out of fuel or did he get shoved wide? I caught him mid corner of the Porsche curves.
Which one you talking about?
Number 250, GTE leader. He just had a bit of a shoved wide moment by one of the LMP1 cars in the Porsche curves.
It didn't show him go off track.
It's all good, he carries on. Maybe it was just me overreading something. So
That's pretty
Dale
good
stays
so
in the
far,
lead of that
yeah.
class, that's for sure. He's got about a 20-second lead to David.
Yeah, and everyone in that class has already pitted, it looks like, and can make it to the end.
As long as he just, to me, it looks like as long as he just keeps that car straight, calm, cool, and collective, he could bring it home in that class.
Correct, yeah.
He's looking good. I mean, the wing is straight. Everything looks good.
Well, Mark
So good.
up front looks like he did some optional damage repair to that car because the back end looks a little bit better than what it was. Somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, they that whole rear section of the LMP1 can be repaired, same with the whole front section. So maybe, looking at his lap time, he's just had a bit of a...
Well, yeah, we just watched it live right there.
Yeah.
He just went off the track.
I was about to say, maybe maybe he didn't have any floor damage, and maybe it was just sort of wing and everything else damage, and you can repair that. So, looking at his times, he's back on track.
Yeah,
That's
the
very
times
good.
are very good. The times are very good. He's got a 1.5 minute lead.
Keeps doing that, he won't.
No. David Johnson is what, 19 seconds or 20 seconds off Paul Schumann. He's got 20 minutes to do that. Not sure if he's a second a lap faster or not. I know he is faster, but we'll have to see.
He's 21 seconds back. It was 24 when they came out of the pits. He's not gaining as much as we thought.
Right.
I mean, he's going to have to start knocking some time down quick.
He's going to have to smash out some 20s any second, otherwise he's not going to have enough time.
Right.
It's all traffic management in the next couple of 20 minutes. Yeah, looking at the lead in HPD, Jared is staying out.
Fourth lap. He's going
still
one more.
running.
He's going to run that thing out of fuel.
He might.
He's got a auxiliary tank sitting in the back there.
Yeah. He didn't tell the team that. He said, that's my
Team
secret.
Paddy said he's got the bigger tank in there just for that extra range. Get those extra 3 laps.
That was in the setup there that they didn't know. Mark Stevenson. Whoa. Said he...
What's he done?
It said he crashed, but maybe that was earlier when he did that. Maybe that was the one we was watching earlier. Oh, yeah, it was the one we was watching earlier. Okay. I was thinking to say, I just happened to see the name over there. I was like, wait a minute. Hope the leader didn't crash.
Yeah,
So like I said, Gerald.
Yeah.
Looks good
Still
so
running.
far. Yeah, still running.
He's got about a chicane lead on JF. Both those guys need to pit as well.
What would benefit him to stay out this long?
Probably a much shorter stop coming up. So, if you're taking 10 laps of fuel or 11 laps of fuel, you're taking about 20 seconds worth of fuel. Whereas Jared, if he stays out longer and longer, it makes that final stop a lot shorter. So whereas Gustavo took 20 seconds of fuel, Jared might be able to take, let's say, he's going to have about 3 laps of fuel, so about 12 seconds.
All right, let me throw this at you.
6 seconds. So he'll have a 14 second stop.
Gustavo's 35 seconds back.
Yep.
From my understanding of what you just said there, he's going to be right on top of him. It could be a pass for the lead.
Gustavo should maintain it, but I think Jared will end up about 10 seconds back from Gustavo.
Right.
Okay.
I think he's gonna pass him while he's on pit road.
Yep.
We'll see.
We'll
So
see.
then, does Gerald have enough time on the strategy to run him back down?
No, because they're on the same sort of tire wear as well.
Yeah, he's got the pace. I think this is Gustavo's race. If he can get through the traffic, he'll come back out in first once Gerard and JF go into the pits.
Yep, because at the minute Gerard is coming into the Porsche curves.
Oh, now he's got a contest with a car in front there. That's not what you want to see. That car, I don't know who that was, but looks like Ronald. Yeah, Ronald Overbay. Yeah, spinning in front there. That's something you don't want to see, a car just in the middle of the track. Gustavo is making up time now. He's 33 seconds back, so he is making time up on Jared. And here he comes on pit.
Here comes Jared.
Yep, Jared's on pit road.
All right, so here's where this strategy is going to play out. He's going to have a lot shorter stop, so he's only going to have to fuel for about 14 minutes, so about 5 laps.
14 seconds.
Well, let's watch and see here, just see how much fuel. Ronald comes in also, looks like.
Fuel for 14 minutes of running, not fuel for 14 minutes sitting in the pit.
I just sit there to the end of the race.
JF just went around him on track.
Yeah.
He's staying
JF.
out.
I reckon JF will push this one until about 2 more laps. I think he'll
There
be in
goes
on the end.
Gustavo right around him.
He's out. He's out.
There's Gustavo
15
and
seconds.
Jared. What's the gap?
Right now it's 7, 8. Gonna be about 10 seconds by the time it's done. Yep, 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's what
We
you
go.
call it. Oh, 10 seconds.
There we go. Maybe it's the calculator I've got in front of me.
Hey, there you go. Yeah. Well, then JF here. What's his strategy?
He should be coming in at the end of this lap, and it's going to be the same thing as.
How many laps does he go at the minute?
This is his 11th lap. He's got 10.3 laps on these tires.
Okay, that's interesting.
So,
I reckon he could push it 1 more lap if he's been economical enough.
right. And
In which case, we'll pop out in about a third, I think.
Same with Rob Deloach, who's currently running 4th. I know his strategy. I'm on the team. He was going to push it as long as he could and then have a splash at the end. So JF and Rob are similar. We'll see how those top 4 are probably going to stay the same, though.
Yeah, JF right now has only got a 9.5 second lead over Gustavo. Yeah, he's definitely going to lose that one.
Yep, it's Gustavo's out ahead.
Yeah, going into that left-hander chicane. Very difficult to get around a big, wide BMW in that chicane. And Gustavo,
I like the
Very
BMWs. They nice cars.
Yep, definitely a harder car to pass. It is quite wide compared and long compared to the other cars.
Well, they call it big.
The big mate.
Mark Stevenson's still leading this one. He's out front. I think he's just in cruise control at this moment.
Yep, definitely damaged the station.
Yeah, I mean it should be. Thing is Daniel got enough time. I mean, and I don't think he does because he's 22 seconds. He's not making up any ground on Paul.
No,
He's not.
I
It's a
think
little
he's.
surprising. Yeah.
I thought he would have tried to push and try and catch Paul there, but maybe it's just maybe it's him just sitting there going, "I'm happy with third." You know, third's a good result, but not compared to what it could have been. I think.
At this point, though, I guess you talk about them being the top two in the points. You've got to think about points too. I mean, this late in the race, you're probably not going to be able to run down Paul. Anyways, if you push the car, you don't want to wreck. You've already spun off the track a couple times. Points. Now it's kind of maybe points management.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to limit your. I was just watching if JF pits. No. Yeah, you just got to limit your damages if you're in a position like that. You don't want to push so hard that you lose the car and then drop 2 or 3 more positions down.
So I just checked the standings. I know Mark and Daniel are 1 and 2, but Paul Schumann's a new name for me, and I looked him up. This is just his second race this year, and he has a top 5 in the last race. I don't know what race that was. This is just the second race that he's competed in, so he could be one to look out for in coming races if he's got a second place in the LB1 class.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it could be a bit of a road warrior, I guess you could call him, just coming in as a ring in for the road courses, possibly.
That could be.
Well, Paul's still hanging on pretty good there in the second place spot here in the top class. Back in the GTE for a second here. See, looks like Dale still holding that top spot.
Yeah, looking through that list there, it seems most of them have pitted and are good to go to the end, so there won't be too much shuffling of those positions.
Right.
David has a little bit of a bent up wing, but doesn't seem to be affecting him too much. Chris Sherburne.
Yeah, things kind of crooked, ain't
traffic. Actually, there's a good battle here between Chris Sherburne and Robert Covey. Robert Covey, obviously having led a whole bunch of these laps here in the GTE car, is now duking it out with Chris Sherburne. They're running right next to each other. This is a good little battle here. Good.
Coming into Mulsanne.
Yeah, coming into the Mulsanne corner. This is a really good demonstration of where these cars are strong around the lap.
Is he going to have a look?
No, I
to the outside.
Looks like going very defensive, and he's going to try and get a really nice exit here, I'd say.
Get really tight. Okay. He didn't swing out wide, Kobe in front.
This is Porsche versus Ford here, so pretty good run. And Ernie has crashed.
Oh dear, Ernie.
Well, look at that speed on the straight. Good night.
Here come, the Porsche. If you trim the Porsche out, it can be really fast in a straight line.
Yeah, I see that. Well, he pushed in. And then you can just see the handling.
So this is for P3 in the class.
Yep, the last step on the podium. Covey's really pushing deep into the corners.
Yes.
I'm wondering if Sherburne's just sort of trying to set him up.
Oh, he overdrove it a little bit there.
Ran wide a little, but it's okay.
Wonder if Sherburne's just trying to apply the blowtorch, just get the pressure up, turn up the heat.
Got 11 minutes left.
Time.
11 minutes.
Perfect example between those two cars right there. You saw that straight line speed of that Porsche, but the handling characteristic of the Ford GT. Just we was talking about setups earlier. Just kind of the difference there.
Yeah, the Ford's definitely a bit more spaceship-like. It's almost designed a bit like a prototype in terms of how the air moves up over and under the car. The Porsche is a lot more normal, I guess you could say, so generates its downforce a bit different.
Porsche has always been kind of known for their huge speed. I mean, those things are kind of powerhouse machines. Very good cars. Good battle,
Probably
though.
less-
Looks like, though, Robert's moving up, though, a little bit from moving away from him, though.
Yes. Yep. And then we got
Yep.
JF.
Oh, JF pitting, yeah.
He's pitting. That's his 12th lap on those tires. We were waiting on him to come in. I think Rob Deloach will be coming in right behind him. But this is going to cycle through Gustavo back to the front where he has been most of the race that just happened.
Yep.
Gustavo.
That's a
Jared will also cycle through here.
past JF, correct. He's going to be in second.
And Deloach pits.
Deloach pits, yep.
A long
So-
pit stop there for JF.
So will George Angus possibly... Does he need to stop as well?
Yes, this is his 12th he'll be coming into. No, now, Joe, I only saw JF up for 12 seconds.
He did, yeah. Yep,
Yep.
12. Yeah.
Yep.
It just looked long, that's all. It
Yeah.
just looked long.
Well, when first and second are driving by you and it's the last stint, it seems like forever. So.
Forever, yeah. You're right. Unfortunately, on that end. So, well, the main guy up front here, Mark Stevenson, he is on the top spot, but he has had an up and down race. Got in trouble earlier on, and Daniel B. Johnson took the lead from him. Then Daniel Johnson got into trouble. Unfortunately, had to tow the car in. He's back in third, but main guy out there in that LMP here for the Sportsman Series tonight here for the 2.4 hours of Le Mans. Been a good race here. Got two drivers up here in the booth with me, William and Brian. I'll tell you what, guys, it has getting down here to the closing time. We only got about, what, 9 minutes left?
Yep, 9 minutes. You can see Mark flashing the lights, trying to get through traffic. That's the only thing that's going to prevent him from finishing first, is if he...
So that's the team car that he's passing, correct?
Yes.
So how are you guys managing that in your own Discords? Are you all together in one, or?
We are. Yep.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah,
In other
it's a
words, you can
similar.
just yell at him and say, get out the way, all right? Basically.
Yeah, that's what we do in ours most of the time.
Yeah. I could see Will in there, different language, telling him, get out of the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of voices in your ear. You got the race chat, which is generally pretty quiet, but most of us are plugged into our team channels and chatting away, and yeah.
How would you keep that? Yeah, that's interesting to talk real quick here, but kind of spread out. But how do you keep that? If you're all in the same. I mean, I get what Will's saying. If you're in different classes, I could see different teams being in their different classes and different areas of their voice. But if you're all together, you're all got to talk. How in the world do you keep that separated?
We have a Discord channel for each of the races, so if it's Pro 1, Pro 2, Sportsman 1, Sportsman 2, we're all in our race channel, and anyone who's in that race will be in the same channel.
Okay.
So we can, look out for that guy, Will. You don't know what to expect around him or something like that, and we all know what's going on.
Paul had a scary moment there a second ago. He almost went to the slow part of the track. Kind of went off pace just a little bit. He was going around a slower car. It's going to cost him a little bit of time. And actually, it cost him a lot of time because Daniel B. Johnson now 19 seconds. So it cost him about 3 seconds there.
Just not enough, though. We've only got 6 minutes, 45 seconds left. That'll be, 3 laps? We'll have to see where Mark is. Mark's on the straightaway now. So he'll have to complete this lap plus 2 more laps, I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an 18-second gap between them. So, yeah, he's going to have to make up now. Unless Paul makes a few more mistakes or gets caught up behind some more traffic. Like you, I think it's pretty much time's just going to run out.
Yep, just time's just going to tick by, and just not enough time to chase him down unless a mistake happens. As for LMP2, Gustavo and Jared have cycled through to the lead. We can see here JF will probably take up third position. Rob Deloach fourth, but I think Rob Powers has jumped George Angus here on track.
He
has.
So that's a good strategy call again from one of the kinetic cars, just to push 3 into the top 5. So that's a really nice result for the team.
And Robert has moved away from Chris, and that looks to be in the third place spot there in the GTE class. So it still puts Dale Green out front, though. And David Guerrero, hope I said it right there, in second in the class.
Yep. That's been pretty standard. I think Dale Green picked his way up through the field. We know Robert had a good lengthy run at staying in first position there, and then I think had a bit of a lengthy pit stop. And then David and Robert seem to have sort of pushed back up. As they say, cream rises to the top, so it's always good.
They're going to load to put those Porsches in victory lane for the respective class here. Like I said, got a lot of cars in the GTE class, and up front, there's still Mark leading it. Hope everybody's enjoyed it. It's been a good race so far out here.
Yeah, Mark leading by about a minute and a half. And what is that, 18 seconds still between 2 and 3, so it's going to be...
Yep.
I still think time's going to run out, but unless a mistake gets made by Paul, I think this might be Paul's race to come second in. Mark Stevenson's, as we were saying, has had a bit of a roller coaster, a bit of up and down, side to side action throughout most of the race, so he's probably earned this victory. He's very emotional roller coaster. This one. Oh,
yeah, you say that. Let's go on the replay here, because Mark Stevenson had just showed him crash. Let's see what happened.
He just took a little bit too much curb, I think.
Hope he didn't get any damage. Oh, it slid him around, and luckily he's got he should still be okay. Luckily he's got a huge minute lead. I mean,
so it'd be interesting if that caused any other damage. I keep on yelling at floor damage, but I think that much of a bounce up over those curbs can damage the car.
So he has passed. He's going through Tetra Rouge now. So he'll
still
be
got a minute 30 second. Yeah, he's still got a minute 30 second lead.
He'll be coming around to the white flag next time around.
He's got about a lap and a half, a lap and 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
How's he gonna come around the white flag when we still got 4 minutes to go?
By the time he gets to the front straightaway, he won't have enough time for one last lap, so that'll be...
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because it takes about 4 minutes to get around this place.
Oh,
Never mind. You see, I've got that NASCAR mentality. It takes about 30 seconds to get around the track.
It's 8.5 miles. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a long track. Yeah. We've been talking so much about what's going on the track here. I didn't even mention that, of how long it takes them to get around here. On this track, and you're right, it takes you about, well, right now the best time is a 3:20. Last lap was a 3:20.29, so well over 3 minutes for the top guys to get around. And just in retrospect, if we go back to the Gustavo, his last lap was a 3:40, so about 10, 12 seconds different there. And then we go back to the top, Dale Green. 3:58 to get around on the track, so a little bit different there. Something we just really haven't touched on, because it's been such a good race into the field here with strategies on pit road, and it's been up and down between the leaders here in the top class. I mean, with Mark spinning, then Daniel spinning, Paul sitting in the middle going, can y'all spin a couple more times? That would be nice.
Exactly.
Yep, Paul's just been the keep it safe, keep it square, and he's looking like he's going to be on for a good result here.
Absolutely.
I just want to give a big shout out to Earl, who, despite being in a few interesting situations throughout the race, is still plodding around. He's on lap 30. He's still going around and round, which in a pretty clean car. So he's stayed out of the way for most people. So congratulations, Earl. He's made it this far.
When I mentioned earlier, I don't want to beat up on him too bad. He has had an up and down race. He has probably been around more times than he would like, but still out here, still doing what he can and learning. And that's the thing we was talking about earlier, and that's awesome to see.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome just to, you might not be the fastest or you might not be the most consistent, but at least he's out there, at least he's turning laps, and every lap you turn around here, you learn a little bit more. That's great. It's good to see. It's good to see that sort of spirit in the.
Yeah, because a lot of drivers, many mishaps he had early in the race, he probably just hung it up and gave up. I mean, but he's persevered through it and said, look,
That should be Mark taking the white flag now. He's just crossed the finish line.
Well, let's ride on board with him and take him through this last lap here, folks. Mark Stevenson, like I say, has had that up and down, and well, I tell you what, just to look in the inside cockpit of that car, there's just no room. There's no side view hardly at all in that car. Wow.
No, it's a very tricky car to see out of, isn't it? It's a very tight space. So coming in here, Tet Rouge, need to get a good run onto this Mulsanne stretch. Obviously dealing with a little bit of traffic here. He's just going to take things a little bit more cruisy, I'd say, than some of his faster laps. Just deal with traffic a little bit more patiently.
Just to show him here, I know he's going to be relieved to get out of this car, and like I say, maybe to get into victory lane here for his respective class. Probably not going to push the issue here with this lap car. Just wait till he gets out of the turn.
Exactly.
Don't want to try nothing crazy. There he goes. Good pass. And this is the long straightaway. You can make a lot of speed on this straightaway here.
Yep, car's topping out about 335-ish coming into this chicane here.
That Mulsanne
Is that
straight.
kilometers or is that miles per hour?
That's kilometers.
Yeah.
I should probably change that. Hold on. Siri.
We'll forgive you,
Siri,
Will. We'll forgive you on that one. But in a nutshell, you're talking about well over 200 mile an hour. Over 200 mile an hour. About 200 mile an hour on that straight, I would say. With that car anyways. GTE is not going to do that, but yeah, with that car.
No. So Gustavo as well, he's also started his last lap coming through Tet Rouge onto the Mulsanne straight. So he's got about 2 minutes left of the lap to go. Interestingly, him and...
I was going to say the same. Dale Green, right next to him. Two class leaders.
Yeah, all the class leaders seem to be all packed together, aren't they?
Marcus going through Indianapolis now.
Yep, only a number of corners here to go. Down to the slowest part of the track here.
Arnage. Keeps
Yep.
clean.
Keeps clean, very nice.
You know, from looking inside here, I mean, it's just so smooth around the track. Doesn't look like he's got any problems with the car, but obviously he's probably manhandling that thing.
Down to the Porsche curves, very nice and smooth, nice and consistent, nothing too crazy. Or there's a bit of a slow car in front of him here.
Oh, yep. Yep, he's gaining very quickly on that HPD.
Just
He just
Ernie.
let out of it just a little bit right there. Just let him go.
Exactly.
Yep. The HPD leader is furthest point away from the finish line, so it's all on the way back now. Down at
Yeah, he's not going to even push the issue to go around him. Yeah, no need to at this point.
2 corners to go, 1 corner to go.
And Mark Stevenson's going to win it right here. Coming across, he's going to win it for the LMP class. Let's ride along here with Gustavo. When he comes across, he's going to bring it home.
Yeah, Gustavo on the way back now. He's past the furthest point away from the finish line, so it's now all the way home. He's only got a number of corners to navigate here for a nice kinetic 1-2. Same with Jerry. He's about 10 seconds back. But even.
Should be the last lap for this man here in the, I call it the Honda class here, but Gustavo, he has definitely had this thing wrapped up most of the race. Looking really good.
Yeah, Mr. Consistent. I think he's only had one little off track throughout the whole race. So that's very, very good for him.
He's been very consistent today. This
Yes,
is
he
his
has.
first victory of the season, and very well deserved this week.
No doubt.
He's definitely put in the hard yards. He did really well at Le Mans here in December. Mr. Consistent there as well, and then hopefully the same here. He's only got a couple of corners to navigate here. Gustavo, myself, and John King, and one of the other guys in the European League will be teaming together for the iRacing 24. So this is really good. This is really good team showing, I think. Down here, 4 corners to go.
Makes you feel better anyways, don't it?
Does. Really good confidence. 2 to go. 1 to go. Gustavo. What a race.
He's going to win his respective class in a Honda. coming across the line. Good job on his. Let's go here to Dale Green, who's in a GTE car. And is this his checkered flag lap?
Yes, I believe so. That's it.
And that's it. Dale Green wins.
Dale Green wins that one. Wow.
Oh, that's interesting.
They're going to be getting together for a special finish here, though.
Whoa! Let's rewind because Robert Covey threw it up the inside of David Gagaro right coming into the Porsche curbs here.
P2 then. That would have been for the
P2,
second.
yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Covey.
Oh, they made contact.
Hip and shoulder out of the way, so Robert Covey will take
Saw
P2
that.
here.
Wow. I will take P2. Thank you very much.
He took it. He took it the hard way. He did.
Last lap pass through the Porsche curves.
Mm.
We were saying there's a very difficult place to pass. It's a risky place to pass, but
Yes, it is.
there's only so many turns after that. So I think they're trying to line up the race or the class leaders to cross the start-finish line all together. Mark is leading them to start-finish line.
That's so far so good. Very, very good race. A few little ups and downs in LMP1 and LMP2, but
Absolutely.
terrific race.
Well, let's see if we can't get some of these guys up here in the Sportsman class. If we can't get Mark, at least get Mark. Maybe Gustavo or Dale one up here to get a word with them. We'll see if hopefully they'll jump in here.
They're communicating on the voice chat now. They're trying to all get together on the start-finish line together.
Okay.
Doing a LeMans finish.
Sometimes they get in here and folks will get an interview with them. Sometimes they don't, you know. But we'll see. We'll give them a few here. But what a finish to this one. I mean, I got to give my hats off to these guys. Definitely what a race.
Yeah, and that's Mark's 4th victory of the season out of 7 races, so he's done quite well.
Nice. Well, we'll show the results here real quick. Say Mark Stevenson, man, puts it in Victor Lane there for his respective class. It goes all the way through, folks. As we look, man, what a race! I am hats off to these guys. Wow.
Yeah, but those 5 minutes, about 45 minutes ago, when Mark spun and then Daniel B. Johnson overtook him with that, and then Daniel B. Johnson had his own issues, that was probably the most exciting. It was really nice.
Yes, it was. We'll give him a few seconds here and see if any of them guys want to jump up in here. But what y'all feel? I mean, I had a blast up here, and just to get the good insight with you guys. I mean, our next race though, well, let's look it up right fast. What do we got?
Indy cars at Road America.
That's right, Indy cars. We just had them at Indianapolis, but it's going to be a different animal with those guys being at Road America. Y'all looking forward to that one?
Yeah, that should be a whole bunch of fun. I'm keen to put in some decent practice into there. It's definitely not my forte, the Indy car on road, so I'm definitely going to be practicing a whole bunch.
Same. I remember Belle Isle last year, and it was just very tense road course, street circuit. This one maybe more forgiving than Belle Isle, but yes, absolutely looking forward to it.
All right, and then after that,
Knoxville.
Knoxville, yeah. I'm looking forward to that one. I will say I'm looking forward to that one. But we y'all talked about that earlier, and I know how y'all are feeling on it. It's going to be interesting and fun to watch. But we've got some other great racing. We've got some the Crown Jewel style cars coming up. We got some Grand Prix racing coming up here in the season. Obviously, got another 2.4 of LeMans. It's got a lot of great, diversity of cars still here in the majors, and tonight's race was awesome. I'm going to cut it out here, and if the guys want to get an interview our next time around, we'll definitely get a word in with them there. Will, Brian, I do appreciate y'all guys coming up here and calling this thing with me. It was awesome to have you.
Absolute pleasure, Joe. You put on a terrific show.
Thanks, Joe. It was really fun. Thanks for the invite. And well done. Congrats on your win earlier this week.
Thank you, mate.
There you go. I'll tell you what, we got one of the Sportsman drivers, one of the pro drivers up here. We're going to leave Le Mans. Mark Stevenson puts it in victory lane. Folks, appreciate everybody out there. Everyone, have a good night.